And we get it rolling on the Krueg Show after Warrior basketball. Larry Krueger, Dan Coach Emilio, Ryan Smith. Ryan not in the house yet, but he will be. Hope everybody's having a great night. It's been a busy day. Warriors get a win. I was on earlier today on 95.7 The Game with John Dickinson, and then of course joined Grant Cohn on his channel for a little 49er talk earlier today, and now we're going to talk a little Warrior basketball, and we'll talk a little 49er football as well. We're coming on right after the Warrior game tonight. It was LaMelo Ball and the Charlotte Hornets coming to town, and the Hornets, scored 26 in the first quarter, 26 in the second quarter, 26 in the third quarter, and 27 in the fourth quarter. And the Warriors win at 110-105 as Golden State scores 37 in the first, 28 in the second, 24 in the third, and then 21 in the fourth quarter. Danny, what'd you think of the game?
Well, I'll tell you what, all those talking heads that say that Warriors need to make a trade to get rid of the younger guys, you're starting to see them develop. Jonathan Kuminga is becoming a star right before our eyes. This is a 20-year-old kid who is just unlimited talent that is going to someday dominate the low post. This guy is unstoppable down there with his spin moves, his athleticism. Once he defines and gets that jumper down, which tonight he down the stretch, the Warriors needed a bucket, and who did they go to but Jonathan Kuminga? Jonathan Kuminga drove, spun, got a dunk, drove to the hoop, pulled up from the sideline, the baseline, and put a one-hander in from about 12, 14 feet. Beautiful shot that put the Warriors up for good. This guy, and he was aggressive on the boards, played great defense against LaMelo Ball. This guy is getting more and more confident as he plays. And Wiseman tonight gave a good contribution. He defensively, he came in, he threw the timing off of a couple of shots, got a dunk shot, made a dunk, made a little 3-foot little.
Yeah, beautiful, kind of a spin move it to the lane. Not a spin move, but it looked like he was going to dunk it, and then he kind of laid it in. I thought that was a really nice
I think
play.
He had about, what did he have, 6 points or so tonight?
Looks like 8 points and 2 rebounds and 1 assist.
Yeah, 10 minutes. He got a little bit the second half he came in and got a little bit hesitant at times. It looks like when he gets the ball sometimes on the post, he tries to do too much instead of just when he gets it, it's almost like he thinks he's got to take it and somehow score. But he's going to get better. And Moody's looking better. I'll tell you, the team here is going to come up on a situation where they're going to Lamb and Jerome can only play 50 games. Jerome sat several games earlier in this year where he didn't suit up. So those don't count toward the 50. Lamb has, I think, suited up for almost every game. So when Curry comes back, Wiggins was supposed to be back tomorrow night. He's sick, so he'll be back later in the week. When Wiggins comes back and when JaMychal Green is back, I think you got to sit Lamb and save some of those 50 games because you don't want to get down to the stretch and then figure out he's used up the 50 games and you either got to cut him or do something. So I'm thinking he's going to get sat at some point, although he's been looking good. He looked great against Memphis on Christmas Day. My goodness, he was hot. But tonight he was off and he didn't play that great of a game tonight. But these two-way guys are starting to play better. And the team – this is a stretch, Larry. This was the first of 10 that I looked at the schedule and said all winnable games. 7 are at home. Now they've got 6 left at home. The last home game is against the Phoenix Suns, January 10th, I believe. And then they go on the road to San Antonio. And I think they got Washington and some other team that are winnable games. If they focus and play with the intensity that they did Christmas Day against Memphis, there's no reason that team should go at least 8-2 in those 10, if not 10-0, because they should be favored in every game. And this is where they can set the course of the rest of the season. When Steph comes back, and then, they're in good shape. They'd be like 6-7 games over 500 at that point. So the next 9 games to me are all winnable games. They just need to play with the intensity that they brought on Christmas Day.
To me, I think what's pretty clear is after the way they played against Boston, the way they played on Christmas Day against Memphis, it's like, their road record doesn't mean anything. All these concerns people have don't mean a whole lot. I really don't. I really think they're going to rise to the occasion and play big when it matters. I mean, it doesn't, to me, it makes no difference if they get it going right now or if they get it going in a month. And it doesn't really, I don't think it makes any difference as far as winning a title. I don't think there's any team in the West that can beat them 4 times. Something would have to change between now and then for that to become a reality. I don't think you can beat Golden State in a series. Not when they show up and they fire and they're ready to roll. If they don't show up, it's one thing, but I think for the most part, I don't whether it be the 5 seed, the 2 seed, the 8 seed, I don't think it really matters what seed they have.
Yeah.
I'd rather,
I agree.
Obviously you'd rather have a higher seed, obviously.
Yeah.
But
if they can get into the
it doesn't
top
really matter.
6 so they don't have to play in a play-in. I'm not worried
But
about
even
them
if they
going
get
on
to
a
play in the
road.
play-in game, even if they have to play in the play-in deal at the end, I mean, it'll be a hassle. They won't want to do it, but it's not like
you want to get to at least
7
or 8 at least, because 9 or 10 you lose one and you're done.
Yeah.
So
we'll see how it goes. But I mean, right now, where are they? They're the 9 seed.
Yeah, 9, 10, right in there. Yeah. But here's the deal:
they'll get hot. They'll do
tomorrow
what they need to do.
They got Utah, who's right in front of them, so they can catch them, and then they got Friday. They're home with Portland. Then probably one of the toughest games on the homestand will be the Atlanta Monday. Then it's the Pistons, then the Magic, then the Suns. There's no reason they can't sweep this homestand. I mean, they're at home, and they've been home since a couple days before Christmas. This is like 2 weeks at home, 2.5 weeks where you really get to just kind of be at home, play your game, focus. And these aren't teams that are anywhere even near the 500 mark. Some of them, I mean, Detroit.
I mean, they'll wind up spitting one of those games.
They probably will, but that's why then they go on the road, Larry. They go, the next 3 road games are winnable: San Antonio, Chicago, and Washington. Then it gets tough. Then they go to Boston and then Cleveland. So they've got to stack up some wins, in my opinion, because when they go on the road to Boston and Cleveland, those are probably back-to-back losses, unless they bring it and Steph's back and Wiggins is back and they're playing an A game. Their A game.
Well, Wiggins could have come back tonight. He wasn't back tonight because he's sick. So,
correct.
He's got the groin. They didn't want to, as far as I'm concerned, I'm glad that they haven't brought him back because, the last thing you want to do is, have a recurring groin injury. I mean, then you're out maybe for an extended period of time. So they've been conservative with him. And I'm sure, to me, it's just, I don't want to say it's much ado about nothing, but I mean, realistically, does it matter? I mean, does it really matter if the Warriors are the 6 seed or the 4 seed? I mean, I get it. I understand. They're going to play more on the road. But to me, what really matters is just that they are playing well at the end of the year. Well at the end of the year. Have your rotation. The one thing that was a real positive tonight is that Kuminga and Wiseman are looking like the kinds of players that are approaching being regulars in a rotation. If you can get, Wiseman in the rotation on a regular basis, if you can get, Kuminga in the rotation on a regular basis, that they really don't need very much here. I mean, they've got their starting five, then they've got, DiVincenzo and Poole. That's 7. They're only going to have about a 9-man rotation. So they really just need, and there's also guys like Ty Jerome and Anthony Lamb and so on and so there's all they really need is 1 or 2 of Moody, Wiseman, Kuminga, Rollins, Baldwin. If like 2 of those guys, maybe 1 of those guys gets in the rotation and really is a factor, that's really all they need. If they have 2 young guys who step forward and they're in the rotation, they'll be doing great. Anything more than that, it's like, I don't even know what they would do. I mean,
they're going to be.
The question is, do they make a deal? Do these guys change their value proposition that maybe you can add? What I think they really need. I was talking to JD today. I'm like, JD, what do you think they ultimately need? He's like a 2-way wing, a 2-way wing that can come off the bench. I wouldn't mind that as well. If you could find 1 more, really good defensive player who could be added to the rotation, maybe that helps. Well, they don't need a ton. They definitely don't need a lot. What's up, Rye? What's going on, man? Where are you?
It's been quite the holidays. So my dad he was the last one standing that I knew that hadn't got COVID, and now it's just the entire, because I live with him. So it's all just batting down the hatches, and he just has such a bad fever. And so I'm at my mom's right now, like underneath her house, as you can see all the pipes and everything. It was the best place I could find. And then I'm sorry I'm late. I had to run back because my girlfriend rightly told me I needed to go take the dog out because my dad was just way too KO'd. I had to sleep. So yeah, I'm sorry about that.
So you got a different little setup going there.
You
get the big pipe over your.
It's in the boiler room.
Seriously.
I know. I'm trying. I'll see. We've got some cats up in here. The laptop's actually inside of a cupboard right now. I don't know if you can tell.
Cats, like real cats.
Yeah, real cats.
Wow.
We're also, of course, so we're coming on after the Warrior game. Kuminga took it over late. Danny and I were talking about Wiseman a little bit, and I was just saying that if the Warriors. We know, they're starting 5 plus, DiVincenzo, and then you got Poole. So you got 7. They're probably going to have 9 guys in the rotation. So really the rest of the team, you just have to find 2 guys who can be in your rotation, or you might have to make a trade and trade for a guy that could be in the rotation. I think they're in a great spot. I mean, I personally loved what I saw out of Wiseman in this game. I know he didn't have great stats, but you know what you're starting to see? I really like that play where, Clay, kind of led him and gave him, he said he called for the screen, and then Wiseman sets the screen, and then Clay dribbles up and then flipped it back to Wiseman, and he looked like he tried to dunk it, but then he just kind of put it off glass in one big swooping move. I just see a guy that is eventually going to be just a monstrous force for Golden State. And I don't know how soon it can happen. I don't know if it can happen this year. My guess is it can't. But what do you think, Ryan? I mean, it's like there's no doubt that Wiseman is big and long and smart and wanting to improve, and they want him to improve. Everybody seems like invested in one another. He seems to be getting a little bit better. It's not like natural. It seems like they're kind of trying to teach him on the fly, but he seems to be improving. What's your assessment of where Wiseman is?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit like the Brock Purdy situation where it's like, the thing you want to see, the thing that all the fans want to see is they want to see that he's somebody is a guy, actually is a guy, is a main character on a team that could go far. And that was the thing with Brock Purdy's. It's his personality, all that, he is total main character vibes, even though he was third string, Mr. Irrelevant. Jonathan Kuminga, I mean, there's been some of these games now where he's become so aggressive, and he really has kind of been the de facto, I don't know, the de facto like get it done guy on the team in clutch moments. And I just love his aggression. He actually is improving so much as a defender. I didn't think he would be here as a defender right now. No, it's awesome. And, Wiseman, whatever, but it's just good to see these guys stacking some W's. I mean, I know it's at home, but still could be the best thing for them as long as they can hang around till Steph gets back.
Oh, I think they can win. They can definitely win. They've got 6 more at home on this stand. They can win all 6, but they should win at least 5. They really. What
would you guys want as far as this? We got this one from Nick Chases. Maybe the Warriors can deal Jermichael Green and maybe a Patrick Baldwin Jr. and a first rounder for a proven vet off the bench. If you could add just one piece at the deadline, what do you think Myers is looking for? Is it a big man? Is it a backup one? Is swing man? What do you think? Is there any target out there that you think would complete this team and push them, over the top of the mountain?
Maybe Caruso.
Yeah, but did you see those crazy Caruso? I think Larry, you were the one telling me like people are saying like
Wiseman and Kuminga for Caruso. It's like
no way. No. They're not going to trade. I don't see them trading Wiseman or Kuminga. Maybe Moody, but I doubt it. I just think these guys are growing. They're getting more confident, and you're going to see. I mean, they're only 20. My goodness, 20, 21 years old. How old is Moody? Is he 21 now?
They're all the same.
Like I know Kuminga turned 20.
Kuminga and Moody were the same. They were both 20. I guess they're both 20.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is the nucleus of the future. I mean, these guys are going to get better and better. To me, the X factor right now, and, last year, to me, it was Peyton. This year, it's DiVincenzo. The guy is a stud. He is a player. The guy can play defense. He's a good shooter. He's a good ball handler.
Wait. Sorry. Did you guys hear that rush of water?
No, did they flush the toilet or something?
Yeah. No, I actually think that's what, like, if the toilet flushes, I think you'll hear it.
That probably is that is your main sewage line. That's why.
Yeah. Let's hope there's not a hole in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Right over
Rye's very
head.
Ugly live stream.
No, I think DiVincenzo is a more complete player than Peyton. Peyton was more of a catalyst when he came out on the court. He kind of just changed the mojo of the lineup immediately. But DiVincenzo's a guy that starts. He can come off the bench. He's a ball handler. I love the fact that he gets in there and rebounds and gets the fast break going. I mean, GP2 is a better defender, but he doesn't have the offensive game that DiVincenzo has.
MF says the Warriors and Niner talk is refreshing. The Carlos Correa situation has been exhausting. Wow, we will get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to the Correa situation.
Get to that. We're going to get to that.
Hey, MF, congratulations, by the way. He's in the championship game of the Krueg.
Nice.
Football league.
First we should say, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody. Hope everybody had a phenomenal holiday and a great New Year coming up. This is one of my favorite weeks of the year because I'm that one weird guy that likes the bowl games. You know what I mean? And
it's something to bet on every night.
Games, and I took
East Carolina. Did you watch the East Carolina Coastal Carolina game tonight?
I took East Carolina -7 tonight.
I didn't, but I'm currently really sweating out this 4th and 1 on the goal line. Okay, State, Gundy and the boys. I'm going to
24-13.
It's 20 State's
24-7 as of is it 24-13?
24-14.
Oh, let's go. Okay, yeah, it was a 1st and goal on the 1, and it got all the way down to 4th down. So that's great news.
And it was you got to see it. You got to see the play because it's a ridiculous play. 24-14. Wisconsin leads Oak State. 13 minutes left to play, roughly, in the 4th quarter. So yeah, the bowl season's going on. Buffalo beat Georgia Southern today, 23-21. Memphis crushed Utah State 38-10. That game went back and forth. And then East Carolina, I called my buddy Bruce Marshall from the Gold Sheet, who's Mr. College Football. And I said, Bruce, give me your favorite side today. He said, go with East Carolina. East Carolina against Coastal Carolina.
Yeah, they ripped them.
53-29. East Carolina gets the win. East Carolina, it was East Carolina -7. So that was a nice little cover.
Yeah, I hit a 5-teamer in the NFL parlay this week. Got a
Really?
little dicey there because I needed Tampa Bay to beat Arizona, and I was like, oh, come on. And I didn't hedge it because I was like, I'm not going to hedge this, But golly.
I won this weekend too in the NFL. I took the Niners Chiefs on the tees, and that was a nice little cover.
I had another one. I was like killing it. I had an 8-teamer, and of course, Minnesota kicks a field goal, 61 yards with no time left. I took the Giants in the upset because I got, pretty good odds. And that killed all 7 hit except the Minnesota game. So I even got Detroit losing to Carolina. I thought that Detroit was due for a bad game.
Oh, I mean, this weekend of football definitely just got me. I'm just like, for the league at large, not just the Niners, like all of a sudden these are gonna be some fun games. I want to see Carolina win the division. I think that'd be fun.
Didn't you bet on them?
Oh yes, I did.
Okay.
I'm like, why do I love this Carolina team so much?
Are they playing? Do they have a game with Tampa Bay still?
Yeah. So it's basically I've been completely. There's a lot of craziness going on. Like, for example, this sucks for fantasy football guys. If you have Derrick Henry in the championship game, they might not play him on Thursday because the game's inconsequential. The only thing that matters to the Titans is the Jaguars game the following week.
Oh, right.
Because neither of them can make the wild card, so it's just whoever wins the division. So, it's coming down crazy, man. But Sean Proctor and I, we've been going back and forth all year because we both went big on Nick Bosa to win Depoy, and the guy Proctor said he tried to bet $3,000 or just something pretty shocking. And they limited him, but he's going to have a fat payday. I just put $75 on it, but that's
on
now
what?
down to
what would you put 75 on?
Bosa to win Defensive Player of the Year. So that'll be 75 to win 750, but Proctor put some crazy amount of money on it, and it's going to really, he's peaking.
So not only are we doing Warrior post game tonight, and I did invite Cy. I'm not sure if he'll be able to stop by, but he's got the standing invite. We also did not do a 49er post game after the Commanders game. So give me your guys' thoughts on that one. The 49ers beat the Commanders, and I thought looked good doing it. I mean, if you really think about it, another really strong performance by Brock Purdy and the 49ers. Purdy's now 3-0, really 4-0 if you want to give him the Miami game as well. And what can you say? I mean, right now, the 49ers look really, really good. I mean,
I thought
they're the hottest team in the NFL.
I thought the 49ers were in total command. Ba-dum-bum. Oh, yeah.
Command over the Commanders, 37. How about this? They scored 30 points in the second half against one of the NFL's better defenses.
That's a good defensive
with their
line.
third-string quarterback.
What was great is Chase Young played, too, so it made it even better for the Niners because he makes that defense 4 first-rounders.
It's an amazing thing, too. I mean, Brian Robinson, who averaged, I think, 7 yards a carry the previous week, averaged 2.6 a carry. The 49ers have not given up wait for it, they haven't given up a 100-yard rusher. They haven't given up a 90-yard rusher.
Nor an 80.
They haven't given up an 80-yard rusher. They haven't given up a 70-yard rusher. Oh, that's right. The 49ers haven't given up a 60-yard rusher all season.
That's correct.
That's insane.
I mean, that really is.
I mean,
Ray McLeod had a 71-yard rush. Like there you go. Yeah.
Which was a beautiful run, by the way. Ray hit that corner and was gone. How about this? Brock Purdy is making George Kittle look like the best, like way better than he's been before. George Kittle, 14 catches on 16 targets in Purdy's 3 starts for 241 yards, 4 touchdowns. And Purdy has a perfect 158.3 passer rating when he's targeting George Kittle.
Do we have any
What?
video? Are we able to show video of that
Absolutely
touchdown?
not.
No video where it's just no sound. Okay.
No.
The throw to Kittle, the one where not the one he caught in the end zone, but the one he ran it from like the 20 or somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
It was like
cut back
unbelievable. The pass was just like right in stride to kept Kittle, which made Kittle not have to reach back. Jimmy might have had him reach back, which would have maybe not had him score. But because he caught the ball with his momentum going, to the ball toward the, in the field of play, it just Kittle just kept moving, and he was able to, just take off. That is a skill. That is not luck. That is a skill that only a few guys have, that can put the ball with anticipation where the receiver is going to be. And like I say, only a few quarterbacks that I've seen do that. I mean, it's a lot of Jimmy's throws, even though he's fairly accurate, are either kind of high or maybe just a hitch kind of backwards where the guy has to slow down. So this is a huge issue. And I heard you say today, Larry, on the game that he had a 1.55 split in the 10-yard.
He's got a 1.55. We're talking about Brock Purdy now.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy's 10-yard split was 1.55.
That's up there with the fastest backs in football.
That's the 95th percentile of the 10-yard split.
That's unbelievable.
That means, that's what you're seeing when you're seeing his escapability, is that he can get out and escape and make plays because he's got that unbelievable quickness. Brock Purdy, guys, is the NFL's top-rated passer since week 13. He's got the number one passer rating in the NFL since week 13. It's 110. He's got the number one win percentage in the NFL since week 13. He's got the number one touchdown per attempt, passing touchdown per attempt ratio in the NFL since week 13. It's really hard to believe. I thought he would play well. I didn't think he would necessarily play this well. And then today or yesterday, Kyle Shanahan had his press conference, and it was really interesting because he basically said yesterday what we've been kind of questioning for a while, that is Trey Lance coming back, and he basically said that Elijah Mitchell will be chosen over Hassan Ridgeway for that last IR returnee spot. So they have one guy they can pull off IR. It's going to be Elijah Mitchell. It's not going to be Ridgeway. It's not going to be Lance. What do you guys think?
I think it's a good move. I do think
there's no way Lance is coming back.
I do think Jimmy will be ready at some point in the playoffs, probably the divisional round, and he will come in as the backup. There's no way he's coming in to start. And I feel better just having someone like Jimmy, if he's healthy enough to be the backup, just in something does happen unforeseen, where Purdy isn't able to continue to play in the game. That still gives the Niners, a chance to keep going. So I think that's been the plan since Jimmy went down.
Yeah. Also circling back to the George Kittle stuff. I really think that Shanahan treats him now like, I remember Bill Simmons used to always use this analogy with Gronk back in the day, where he's kind of like the Ferrari. He's the sports car. Like, you got to kind of leave him in the garage. You can't be just running him out. You can't just be driving it to work every day. So I think it's one of those things where it's like, Kittle is, it's just a phenomenal blocker. But once now that these games are getting a little more high leverage and it's getting down to it, I think that he's starting to rev up the sports car, and I think he's going to be a monster in the playoffs receiving wise.
Oh yeah, he has 4 touchdowns in his last 2 games.
You have to like protect him from himself, because like he'll have 8 guys on him and just keep running and trying to get to the end zone. So it's like, yeah, I don't know.
Somebody just put up here Don Data, number 2 seed. I do think they have an excellent shot at the 2 seed. And why I was pulling hard for the Packers over the Dolphins last week was because if the Packers had lost, they practically, I think, would have been eliminated. So now the Vikings go to Green Bay in a must-win for the Packers. So I think Minnesota's Cinderella luck runs out this week. I can't see them pulling off.
I mean, the Niners could get the 1 seed if somehow Philly loses the last 2 games. The Niners get the 1 seed if they win out.
That would be true. That would be true.
Dan, I gotta say, I did not
New
like
Orleans and the Giants.
Dan, I did not like what you put on Twitter about like the whole thing where it's rounding up where the Niners get to play the Packers at home. I don't want to play the Packers. No, thank you.
Yeah, I see that. I just feels funny. It feels like, oh crud, here come the Packers and the Niners. But the more I thought about it, because I get like that, like you do too, Rye. Like, oh shoot, we got them last year and we upset them, and they're going to come and throw us off. I don't think the Packers can play with the Niners defense at all. But they
got a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah, there's a world where they could pull it out. Whereas if they played like the Giants or the Commies, there's no way. Like they aren't going to be able to keep up with the Niners offense.
But I mean, Washington has to lose 1 of their remaining 2, and Green Bay has to win out to get the Packers in. I don't know if the Packers can get into that 6th seed. I think
Green Bay is going to win out. Who do they have?
I know. Well, they're going to probably beat Minnesota, and then it's going to come down to a showdown between them and Detroit for all the marbles. Yeah, Another team don't necessarily want to.
But that's at Lambeau, I believe.
Yeah, it is. So if the Niners get the 2 seed, they would. If Green Bay makes it in,
2 seed is they don't have to play the Eagles and the Cowboys, most likely, right?
Well, they still. Well, I don't see that happening one way or the other. They're either going to play the Cowboys or the Eagles. This is how I see it going down. I see the Niners. Let's see, Philly 1, Niners 2, Minnesota 3, Tampa 4, Dallas 5, Giants 6, and Packers or Lions 7. I see the Niners winning. Eagles have the bye. Minnesota, that's a toss-up. They could lose,
Minnesota's got the worst defense in the entire league.
Yeah. So Minnesota.
They're 32nd in points allowed.
Yeah. Minnesota, whoever wins 3-6, whether it's Minnesota or the Giants, 49ers would take them on. Dallas would play Philadelphia because I think Dallas handles Tampa. And then I think best scenario would be Dallas beats Philly in Philly, and Niners host the championship game.
That's if Tampa doesn't beat Dallas in the first game, right?
Yeah, then Tampa would have to go to Philly.
Nick J says, Larry, why not rest the majority of the starters the last 2 games? The 3 seed is pretty much locked up. Play them into the third quarter and then rest. They need to be as healthy as possible going into the playoffs. Nick, it's not the way it works. I mean, there's only 53 guys on a roster, so there's no such thing as rest all your starters. You don't have enough guys, and the simple math shows you that, right? You won't have enough guys, so you might be able to pick and choose a guy to rest, like McCaffrey. I think I would rest McCaffrey.
Especially if Mitchell might come back for the last game.
Yeah. So, you rest, you pick a couple guys. Bomber T says, nobody can beat the 49ers right now. Do you believe that?
Well, I think anybody can beat them. Anybody can beat anybody. It's the NFL. But if they're playing their game, their A game, no, I don't think they're too talented. It's just they're loaded at everywhere you look.
The Niners have a ton of talent. There's no question. 2-point QH or 2-point. No, what is that? 2.0? Oh, 2.0. 2.0 says here's 499. He says people think Jimmy Garoppolo stinks in the playoffs, but his playoff QBR is 58. Lance's regular season QBR is terrible versus terrible teams is 35. There's no question who you want back. Well, I mean, like QBR is like the be all end all, but I hear what you're saying. I mean, the 49ers never put Garoppolo on the injured reserve because they've always been holding out hope that he'll come back. I think I put out a tweet roughly the day he went out and said, by the time Garoppolo's ready to come back, Purdy will have taken the job and people won't want Garoppolo back. And people were like, yeah, yeah, right. Yeah. Here we go. I mean, here we go. Right now, if Garoppolo's back fully healthy, do you play him?
For what?
For the playoffs.
Oh, no, not a chance. I mean, if Purdy's playing the way he is, why would
He's playing better?
Jimmy
and coming off an injury.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy's already slow. You don't need him just like a statue back there. I mean,
here's the other thing. It's like everybody keeps talking about Purdy, like Purdy is going to come back crashing back to earth. The defenses, and this is where they rank in scoring that he's faced so far. Tampa was ranked 7th or is ranked 7th. Washington's ranked 12th. Miami's ranked 14th. Seattle is ranked 28th. He did that on the road. You say, well, what about the defenses coming up? Philly is ranked 15th. Dallas is ranked 13th. Minnesota's ranked dead last at 32. I don't know about the other teams, Green Bay, some of these other teams, but I mean, so that's like, oh man, will he be able to do it against Philly? Will he be able to do it against Dallas? He's already gone up against 2-3 defenses that are better.
Here's the thing that I see with Brock Purdy. When he was at Iowa State, he had to kind of do more than what he was really capable of, and that's why you saw more picks. This offense, all he has to do is run the offense efficiently and not force the ball, because check it down if it's a close throw and it's got tight window that's possible interception, just check it down. Kyle's got him situations where he's got somebody open, deep. He's got McCaffrey as a check down. He's got him on a swing out. He's got guys open constantly. And that's the difference. I mean, if you have these kind of weapons with this offensive scheme and you have the tools that Purdy has, it's obvious Purdy is operating at a high level because he has the skill set. Not everybody's able to operate in Shanahan's system. Otherwise, they wouldn't have lost all those games with Beathard and Mullins.
By the way, Shanahan in the presser, shouting out Javon Kinlaw, said he played 16 snaps, said he came out of it, 100% unscathed.
Awesome.
Who had a huge game? And I didn't notice it at the time because otherwise, if I had noticed it in real time, I would have asked him about it because I think we talked to this guy. But T.Y. McGill.
I was going to say T.Y. McGill, yes.
T.Y. McGill
saw that on TV.
Had a tremendous game. That short yardage play towards the end. He's the one who bolted through, caused the penetration, made the running back pause, and then everybody else came firing. T.Y. McGill is playing at a really high level as a rotational tackle inside for Chris Kocherik's defense. And right, we've talked to him. He's a veteran. He's been around the block. He's strong and quick. And at the point of attack, man, he is shooting gaps and wreaking havoc. And, that's how good, that's the advantage when you have a couple of really small, that's what the 81 Niners had. Nobody ever talked about it because we have focused so much on Ronnie and Eric Wright and Carlton Williamson and the young guys on that team. But there were some veterans on that 81 team that made really smart plays in key moments. And watching T.Y. McGill, I'm starting to think that the Niners they're kind of have this karma. They're on this little magic carpet ride. Guys like T.Y. McGill are breaking through on the D-line, making plays in the backfield, shooting gaps, causing running backs to change their path. And then here comes Warner, here comes Greenlaw, here comes, the rest of the cavalry. And they just bury these guys. So great. It was great to hear T.Y. McGill playing well, but that 49er defensive front is starting to improve and starting to get healthier, and that could be the determining factor come playoffs.
What's the situation with Kevin Givens? Is he coming back or?
Yeah, he's come back. He's not on the IR. He's got a knee injury, and they think he'll be back soon. I'm not sure if it's this week, but he'll be back shortly.
So who's the who sits? Is it McGill that sits when Givens comes back? Is he the one that doesn't active or?
It's a good question. Who's going to wind up sitting when everybody's healthy?
Because Willis came back last week. I saw.
Jordan Willis. Last week they used one extra defensive tackle and
because of the run game.
Yeah, because Shanahan wanted to have that extra tackle against the run.
Hell of this, hell of that, says Drake Jackson was a healthy scratch. Yep. Just goes to show you how shocked. I mean, it's like they have this defensive system where you just come in as a D lineman, and every guy that we talk to is basically like, we love it because we see, basically if you just put the work in and follow what they say, you become a productive player. You become a stud, basically. Same thing with the running backs in Shanahan's system. And we're seeing it with Purdy. I mean, the thing about Purdy that just going back to that for real quick.
Yeah.
The thing, it's like, it's partially why, like, I also was like a Jimmy guy a little bit. It's like people can't help but look at players and then put them in their mind in other situations. Like, oh, what if Purdy was on, the Texans or I don't know, all these crappy teams in the league. What if he was on all these other teams? And it's like, who cares? He's not. Like, he's able to operate an offense that's like as efficient as there is in the league. So why do you need more than that? Like, what do they need to score 1 billion points? Like, yeah, maybe Purdy wouldn't be as great in those other things, but for his specific skill set, he is a very good player in the Shanahan scheme. So, like, whatever.
The ball's coming out on time. I mean, there's just no question about it. I mean, when you watch Purdy, what can you say? I mean, he's literally an ideal fit for this system. I mean, it's a run-oriented system. He's got to make certain throws. He's got to be an efficient thrower of the ball. He's exactly that. He's accurate. He's got excellent touch on the ball. The timing is absolutely elite. He's clearly a really good distributor. Does he have a great arm? No, but he's got a good arm and he can fit the ball into tight spaces. He's got really quiet feet. So that means he's calm in the pocket. He throws off the timing and the rhythm that he has in the play action passes are really, really incredible, especially under center. And that's just ideally suited for Shanahan's system. Then, he's got that 1.55 10-yard split, which is 95th percentile. So that's really where he's elite. He can get away from you. He makes the short. To me, it's, people are talking about Trey. Purdy makes that short and intermediate throw, and he makes it look so damn easy. And those are the passes that Trey just has a hard time even completing. And for Purdy, those short and intermediate passes are almost like handoffs. He's a true chain mover. This guy just gets first downs. He's got great improvisational skills. And when he's moving to his right, his throwing hand side, he throws really well on the run. He's very clutch under pressure, very competitive. I think if there's one thing that people missed on this guy is his level of compete. I mean, this guy really, really competes, and you see it in every phase of the game. And really, you say, well, what exactly does he do? What's the key to Purdy? He keeps plays alive with his feet. And at the same time, he keeps his eyes peeled on his receivers. And he does one thing that's it's uncanny how he does it. And I thought, man, is this accidental? So I went and looked at his college film, and I saw it again on the college film. And I put out a video of this earlier. He'll drop back to pass. He'll show that quickness in the pocket if he gets rushed. There's a couple instances I found where he's being rushed. He's like, has to turn it. He's a play action fake. So he's turning his back on the defense. When he turns around, he's got rush right in his face. Then he quickly runs away from the rush, but then he's also releasing the ball as well. So it's like, he never, like, this is the one area where Jimmy, if he was ever rushed, when he turns his back on the defense, or when he gets away from the rush, he has to re-look at the field and see where his receivers are at and then make a throw. Purdy kind of knows where his receivers are going to be in, it's an instinct, and the ball just comes out. So it's really impressive. He's playing at a high level. He's got a ton of poise. The moment's not too big. And I can't see them switching off of him. And people say, well, I think he's going to come back crashing to earth. Well, nobody wins all their games, and he's going to eventually lose a game. And I don't doubt that he'll struggle. But this idea that he's for sure going to be worse when he's going to play lower caliber defenses than he's already played, I don't know that that's so. I mean, he might play worse, but it wouldn't surprise me if he got into a nice little rhythm and continued to improve. I mean, that's how I see it. Also, Kinlaw back, that changes up front, because that 4th and 1 play where Kinlaw absorbed both those blockers and allowed Warner to stay free. I mean, I think we're seeing that the 49ers, with all their defensive talent, I mean, they got 5 or 6 good defensive ends. They got a bunch of defensive tackles. If they get anything out of guys like Kalia Davis and Javon Kinlaw, in addition to Givens, in addition to Armstead, T.Y. McGill, that might push them right over the top, guys. That might, the Niners may win this thing because of their D line and a 3rd string quarterback. And if it happens, it's going to be the story of the year in the NFL. It's going to be not just the story of the year. It's going to be like basically a story that people will refer to for probably the next 20 years. Every time we talk about a young quarterback and whether or not, on a good team, that whether or not he can get it done, they're going to talk about Brock Purdy and the Niners in this season. I really think that's the case.
Yeah. And got it. C-Mac has to get rewarded somehow. He needs something. I mean, they better give him comeback player of the year. I know he got snubbed in the Pro Bowl thing, but I don't know, man. The team completely took off.
How does he not go to the Pro Bowl over Miles Sanders?
Miles Sanders, Tony Pollard, what the hell are we doing? NFC, okay, I get it. The NFC East is nice, but McCaffrey is kind of in the MVP conversation, honestly. I feel like in terms of value, I mean, they haven't lost a game since he's played a full game. The Kansas City game, their offense is completely turned around too. It's insane.
2.0 says here's $4.99. You don't play Jimmy G over Purdy, but you play him over Trey. Don't think you play Trey ever unless Purdy and Jimmy G are not available. He's the 3rd best quarterback on this team. MF says the new Broncos coach is going to report directly to the owner. Yeah, I did see that. That was a story that I brought up to Peter King today.
Really?
I don't know if you guys saw that, but the Broncos fired their coach. They were a disaster on Christmas.
Right.
They had guys fighting. I mean, they actually had Randy Gregory was fighting in the middle of a live shot, almost knocked over Tracy, whatever from CBS.
Wolfson.
Yeah. Tracy Wolfson almost got knocked over in the middle of some interview by a player. They had players arguing and fighting on the sidelines. I mean, Denver is just a train wreck, and they fired their head coach. George Payton is the guy who made the Russell Wilson trade. He is the Broncos general manager, but the head coach is not going to answer to Payton. He's going to report to the owner, the brand new owner. And I don't forget who it was, but somebody
Walmart
pointed out that this is the kind of mistake new owners make. I mean, you've got a front office and a head coach that are on different timelines with different motivations, different agendas. They're not aligned. It's no different than Jim Harbaugh and Trent Baalke. You got guys basically, instead of working together, they're working independently of one another. They're not on the same timeline. They're on a different timeline. They don't have the same level of accountability. They have a different level of accountability. I mean, it does not work. And that probably is one of the, the real.
Who's the GM of Denver right now?
George Payton.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
he's only in his first year, and he had kind of a rough year, but to have the new head coach report to the owner and not the general manager, when the general manager, he's the one who traded for Russell Wilson. He's the one who made that trade. And that's
Did
a
he
really bad trade.
hire
Peter King suggested that Denver may just buy out Russell Wilson, cut him, take the massive cap hit this offseason.
I think he said after
No
next
way.
season, didn't he?
No, he said this offseason.
I thought he said if they have
They're on the
another-
hook
if
for
he-
like
if he-
40 mil dead cap or something.
No, he's
It's
saying
over
that they
100.
should
It's over
take
100 mil. The
Yeah,
dead
he's
cap.
saying they should, if they really don't believe in him, they should take the cap hit this offseason.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
man,
thought
it was-
I
it
thought
was
I heard him say
unbelievable.
if he had one more bad season like he did this year, that it would be worth taking the cap hit at that point. I can't see him doing it now because the cap hit's well over 100 million right now.
Well, Danny, it's a massive cap hit either way, whether it's this year or next year. It's good.
Oh,
I mean,
huge
whoa. Wait, so
Go
do
check
they
it out.
have
Go to
it's-
95.7 the game. You can see it hear it for yourself.
it's 17 mil this year, and then the following year it's 22 mil, then it's 35, then it's 55, then it's 59, then it's 54 dead cap.
I thought the bonus I thought he said the dead cap was like close to 100.
Oh, it might be. Oh wait, yeah, never mind. Next year is dead cap of 107 million.
Yeah.
And then 85, then 49, then 31, 12, 4.
I think he was suggesting at 85, give him, kind of tough to take 107
Go
million.
check that. I'm pretty sure
Okay.
he said they should do it this offseason and not take any more chances, because he was talking about a fresh start and a new head coach with, his whole point at the end was you don't want to be a first year head coach, a brand new head coach saddled with somebody else's mistake. So
Wait,
I mean,
Wisconsin
I don't know. It's
better-
not really a strong belief in Russell Wilson, that's for sure.
Wisconsin better just no.
What is it? OK State game?
24-17
Yeah, they need to just kneel it
who
down.
do you got? Who do you got? OK State or
I've got OK State on the live line plus 13.5, and I don't like.
Oh, you're
that they're-
home.
Okay, I'm
It's a
home now.
7-point game. The game it's over. They're shaking hands.
Oh, thank God. They weren't kneeling it, and they were on the goal line. Okay,
Oh, you thought
all right,
they were gonna
cool.
push it
I thought
in?
they were just gonna, for margin for no reason.
Yeah, move up in the rankings.
Yeah, the final rankings.
Oh, you
You
remember
know
how
what,
that
Larry?
used to-
Larry, what do you think? Okay, because I know you love the bowl games. I love the bowl games. I love betting on
I
this stuff.
love it for betting
But
purposes.
what
and
about
for
the
scouting
how
purposes.
the hell do you bet on a lot of these games? I mean, except for the most important ones, like freaking Spencer Sanders is out. They don't. It's just like the coach and the quarterback of Wisconsin are out. Like it's like what the hell?
Yeah, well, let me just say this: I would not advise betting these bowl games without assistance. You need assistance. Why? Because like I'll give you an example. I was talking to Bruce Marshall, and he who he loves? He loves Tulane. Guess who Tulane gets?
USC.
SC. His point is that SC's disappointed to be in that bowl.
Yeah.
Caleb may not even play in the game, and that if Caleb doesn't play, you've got this disappointed SC team, and you got a Tulane team that is excited as hell to be there, and they're going to really fire. So he likes Tulane against SC. You really have to do your homework, because it's not just about who's got more talent. It's about who's going to show up and play.
Right.
I mean, who's and then you have to look at all these different factors. I mean, I'll give you one.
Is he eligible for the draft this year, Caleb?
Yeah.
I thought
Is
he was
who?
a sophomore. Caleb?
No,
Is
no,
who-
no.
Is
He's not.
Who are you asking about?
Caleb Williams.
Caleb
No,
Williams.
not-
Caleb
he's
Williams.
next
No,
year.
no, he's
So
not.
why wouldn't he play?
Because he's injured.
He's injured, so like there's no use in like rushing it back. I mean, Tulane. I know. I already got Tulane. They're a good team. I mean, I bet on them a few times this year, and they came through. And yeah, SC, they're going to be so flat. But it's another reason for the playoff. The playoff's going to be awesome, like when they expand it, because it's just going to be more games that matter.
Yeah. I mean, like tomorrow, I kind of like Duke against Central Florida. As far as later on in the week, there's I kind of like Iowa. Iowa plays. Let's see who Iowa has. Iowa's got Kentucky, and I believe Levis is not going in that game because he's getting ready for the draft. That's the Music City Bowl on New Year's Eve day. from Nashville, and you got Iowa, who's terrible. I mean, Kentucky this year without Levis, is just not good. And now you got a Kentucky team that has had Levis all year. Now they're taking on Iowa. Iowa's only a 2-point favorite. I think, Kentucky's going to score in the single digits in that game. So, I mean, if Iowa can get 2 touchdowns, you're probably going to cover the 2. I like Michigan against TCU for sure. I like Georgia. A lot of people love Ohio State against Georgia. I love Georgia. That game's in Atlanta.
What's the spread?
It's Bulldogs minus 6.5.
6.5. I figured it was about 6. I take Georgia.
I'll tell you what's another lock is
Michigan
January 2nd, Monday, January 2nd. I think it's a total lock. Mississippi State against the Illini in the ReliaQuest Bowl. I mean, the feeling for Mike Leach, they're going to send Leach out a winner, as far as I expect Mississippi State to really be playing hard in that game against the Illini. I've read a couple different articles that they've devoted the bowl game to him, and Mississippi State is -1.
I know. I used the same logic I've used the same logic with Tech. That's why I also
like
got
the
on
SEC teams out of conference. But like SC,
sure.
give you an example against SC Tulane. I mean, you kind of know just by the spread. It's SC who's 11-2 and had this incredible year, ranked 10th in the country. They're only 2-point favorites in Arlington Stadium against Tulane. I love Tulane in that game. I absolutely love Tulane in that game. So,
but I thought Minshew. I thought the Eagles would win this week just because I was like Minshew's gonna want to make a statement and honor Mike Leach, who's just at Mike Leach's funeral during the week, and then I also bet Tech because of Mike Leach. So I have a lot of Mike Leach exposure as it is.
It's a little different when you got 10 of the guys on the offense that really don't have any feelings for Mike.
I know.
Bomber T says back to the Niners. He says Lowell Cohn believes that Brock Purdy has a bigger arm than Joe Montana had. So, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, the one thing that we can say for sure about Brock Purdy, guys, is that the NFL missed on him. Everybody missed on him. The Niners missed on him.
I had him as a second rounder, Larry.
Everybody missed on Brock Purdy. And it's like now you're watching it and you're thinking, well, wait a second, why can't he do this? You know what I mean? I think at this point, like I went and watched a really long breakdown on his college career. Guys, it's amazing. When you're watching it, you're seeing exactly what he's doing right now. This is what he did. This is what this guy did in college. He buys extra time. He's really
except for the interceptions. Like I did a deep dive on Texas Tech, on Iowa State's Reddit, because I wanted to hear what these fans he's probably the greatest quarterback in their college's history. I wanted to see what they had to say about him, and there was a lot of them that were like, "Oh, this guy is so frustrating. Like he's so good, he's so good, he's so good," and then it gets to the big game, and he always seems to find a mistake. I'm having a hard time making excuses for him. But I just don't think he's ever going to be put in that situation with the Niners.
I mean, if you go look at his college film, he won 64% of his starts. Okay, so he was 30-17. That's the equivalent in the NFL to an 11-win season. He took Iowa State to 4 straight bowl games. He had 81 touchdowns and 33 interceptions and threw for over 12,000 yards when he was there. So those are the numbers. I mean, the thing that I saw, to me, the thing that jumps out to me was that, it's the escapability, but then more than anything, it's the ability to know where to go with the ball pre-snap and then never really ever lose sight of, he's constantly keeping his eyes down the field on his receivers. He never stares down the rush. But to me, what really separates him, it's the improv. It's the improvisational skills. And we've already kind of seen it. That's what the NFL, in some ways, that's what the NFL is more than even college, right? Because the athletes are so great on D.
They need to start looking at the eye test, because the reason he was picked last, because too many people put focus on the combine. Listen to these combine stats with the vertical. Desmond Ridder, 36.
Why would anyone care about a quarterback's vertical?
I know. They do this, though. They put these things on vertical. They put it on hand size. They put it on his arm was 29, where Ritter was 32.8 and 32 for EJ Perry. Bailey Zappi was 31.4, and Purdy was 29. They do all these measurables and they calculate it out like, oh, his hand is only 8.6. See, no, that's Skylar Thompson. His is 9.2. Purdy has 9.2.
See, not everybody's got these big meat hook hands. Some guys have.
I got Brock Purdy hands.
Yeah, Jane, put that up there again. Can I see that little?
Ah!
What's that little hand that you had?
Just wait till my prop comes one day and I got these massive hands.
Just these. That's just I can just squeeze it. Just
look
a
at
skull. Just look at even when Danny's, it's a tiny little thing. Those are just like man hands except smaller. No. But what it's clear that everybody kind of missed on the guy, and now it's you're watching him play, and it's like, you know what? There's nothing. I'm not waiting for any other shoe to drop. This is after what I mean. What I did going through his college film, I literally saw exactly what he's done to this point. I mean, what we're seeing right now. We're just seeing it for the first time. So we're like, hey, can he continue it? But if you're an Iowa State fan, this is what he did. This is what he was. I mean, it really is incredible. And the guy I tweeted it out the other day. There was somebody did like a great 12-minute breakdown. And this guy did it like really like a week or two after the draft. It wasn't like he did it, after he played 4 or 5 games this year. This guy did this deep dive like a week after the draft. And it really is amazing when you think about, all the different nuances of the position that he just makes look easy. But to me, what really separates him is the compete. It's the competitive level.
Yep.
And that's where Montana was crazy good. I think that's where Russell Wilson used to be crazy good. I don't know if he still has that. But some of these guys, that's what Tom Brady separates Tom Brady. He's just an incredible competitor, hates to lose, and is going to do everything in his power to win games. And that's Brock Purdy. I mean, Brock Purdy is insanely competitive, and you can see it out there on the field. So, the 49ers, I think, are in the best spot they've been in really in quite a while. I can't. And with Garoppolo, when you watch Trey, you rooted hard for Trey, but you really felt like, man, there's a lot of development that has to happen here. When you're watching Garoppolo, you're rooting hard for Garoppolo, and you feel like he's resilient and likable, but you're always kind of holding your breath. Oh man, well, he's gonna throw one right to the other team. He's gonna make that colossal error. With Purdy, there was a quote from Shanahan. And he didn't mean it to be a knock on Trey. He didn't mean it to be a knock on Garoppolo. But he's like, I can call everything. I can call the game the way I want with Brock Purdy. And it's like, in other words, he's kind of suggesting that he was calling the game with his quarterback's skill set or lack of skills in mind. And now he feels like he can just call whatever he needs to call to win the game. And he doesn't have to be so cognizant of his quarterback's limitations. I thought that was very revealing. I mean, and to me, that's, Shanahan won't say it, but I think he's just thrilled with where, the fact that they're sitting here right now with this incredible defense, this bevy of weapons led by McCaffrey. I mean, and Brock Purdy. Imagine how good the Niners are going to be when Debo's back and Mitchell's back and Kinlaw's back, and I mean, they're going to be monstrous. You would think down the stretch to beat for anybody really. Chiguayo says, "Here's $2. What I like about Purdy is his decision making." Yeah, I mean the guy will put it. He's so competitive. He'll put it where he absolutely needs to. I mean, he's not perfect, but I mean, who is at this point? I just think that he's clearly their best quarterback, and it's amazing that he was sitting third on the depth chart the whole season, sitting right there at practice, and now he's emerged as the best guy.
Yeah, there was one guy in the media that even said, it was pretty shocking. This guy in the media said that Brock Purdy would actually play meaningful games this year.
Who was that guy?
I don't know. I think it's a guy by the name of Krueger or
yeah.
something.
Yeah, seriously. Somebody like that guy. It
Hey,
is a strange phenomenon. What do you got there, Danny? Is that a raw egg?
fresh squeezed orange juice with some lemonade in there from El Boca Vista Oranges, right out here in the front yard.
Whoa.
You're drinking
That's right.
juice off your front yard tree?
Yeah, they're good.
That's pretty. Is this an ad?
Yeah, is this a commercial?
For La Boca Vista. Yep. Mm,
No, I think there's a huge market inefficiency right now for these guys that are just know how to play the position and they don't have all the measurables. But as long as you just build, like you have all these weapons, and I mean, you kind of see it a little bit even in Miami with the way Tua looks at times and how bad he looked the past couple of years. And it's like, think about the guys who got taken at the beginning. It was like Malik Willis, a guy he can't even complete 5 passes. Desmond Ritter. I mean, it's like, yeah. So it's like, why not just take Brock Purdy and have a super cheap quarterback that,
Yeah. The thing that, to me.
No, the question is, what do you do with Trey?
You keep Trey. And
you have the luxury of keeping Trey.
You keep Trey next year.
What if Trey, here's the only thing about this. People talk about this like Trey has no say in this. What if Trey, first of all, I asked Peter King this question. I said, "Is Peter? Who's the quarterback next year?" Well, he's like, "If Brock wins a couple playoff games, he's not talking about the Super Bowl. He said a couple playoff games. Brock wins a couple playoff games. He's the starter next year. Yeah. All right. If you're Trey Lance, you were drafted 3rd overall. Next year will be his 3rd year, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they say, you know what, we're starting with Brock as our starter, and you can go to camp and compete." Doesn't he? I mean, I think there's at least some percentage chance that his agent just says, "Hey, 49ers, trade us. We want to start. We want to be somewhere." He's good enough to get somebody's starting job. The Raiders are going to look for a quarterback. There's going to be Colts. There's going to, there's a bunch of teams out there that are going to be looking for quarterbacks. The Jets are likely to look for a quarterback. Yeah, there's a Garoppolo. Yeah, there's Brady, but there's not that many. There's more teams looking than there are viable quarterbacks.
Where I see Garoppolo headed next year?
Where do you think?
Now the tide shifted, I think, from the Jets to Miami.
You think they'll replace Tua? You think they'll give
I think Tua's he's got too much going on with concussions. He's concussed again. I don't think he should play the rest of this year. It's dangerous.
I think there's a better there's a good chance he ends up in the AFC East, but I could see the Patriots or the Jets over that.
I don't know.
Let's look at the list real quickly here. Here are the teams that possibly could look for a quarterback. I wouldn't put Dolphins on that list. So I would say Patriots, Jets.
I think Tua's
Titans.
You can't go into a season with Tua as your
Jimmy would be
guy.
A great Titan.
Texans, Raiders, maybe Broncos.
Colts. Did you say the
Colts? Yep. Colts. Maybe the
Raiders?
G-men, maybe the New York Giants, definitely the Commanders.
Gonna be a lot.
What about Detroit?
Nah, I think they'll stick with Goff.
Okay. What about Minnesota?
Cousins.
Nah, they'll stick with Cousins.
Tampa, right?
I mean, if Brady's gone,
then
Brady. I don't see Brady coming back to
Carolina, New Orleans, Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of places.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot. That's a lot of teams that could be looking for a quarterback.
But Larry, if you were don't you think Trey, dude, if he starts flashing in camp and there's a real buzz about him and he really is getting better with all these weapons, I don't think you can lead the Niners, because I mean, if he gets in and starts rolling, it could get shocking.
I think Trey's really a good prospect. I think other people see him as a really good prospect as well. Does he have to play more and demonstrate it on the field before they would trade him? I don't know. I mean, they would get more if they waited. It's like the Packers. If the Packers try to trade Jordan Love going into the year, they would have gotten a lower price tag than they would get right now, right? I mean, so
did you do that right? What the heck?
It's the Burger King. It's the Burger King tiny hands guy.
How long did you work on that? Like a week?
Oh, I was just doing it in the background.
Those are very small hands. Danny couldn't palm a tennis ball with those mitts.
That's great. Hey, listen to this though. With the analogy with Trey, he's running the offense, right? It's his offense. He's not executing it the way Kyle wants to. He unfortunately gets hurt. He sees Jimmy come in and says he starts to see how it should look. And then he goes down and then he sees Brock and he goes, another level. Okay. Quicker reads. Dump the ball off quickly if your first or second read's not open. Look, there's McCaffrey's going to be open. He's seeing how this offense should be run, and I think that's only going to help him.
That's going to help him, but Danny, he needs reps.
He's going to need reps. I don't think he beats.
But he's not getting them here.
I don't think so, but to me, that doesn't mean you get rid of him.
Why not?
I mean, why? Unless you can get a first.
Because only one guy can play quarterback.
Yeah, but. Well, they're on their third this year.
I mean, this is the thing. You can sit there and do what's best for you, but eventually he's going to want you to do what's best for him.
Doesn't matter.
And if you trade him before he demands to be traded, do you think you're going to get more or less? More. Yeah, so if you wait until he demands a trade, you're going to get even less. I think it's pie in the sky to think that Trey Lance, who didn't play much in college, is going to be willing to sit behind Brock Purdy next year and peacefully coexist. He's not going to say anything wrong. He's not going to do anything wrong. He's just going to make a request through his agent to trade him at some point. I mean, maybe it's in their best interest to go to camp and show what he's got in camp.
If
I think he'll for sure be better.
If I'm Kyle, I put some packages in and utilize Trey in certain situations. I mean,
like what?
Well, imagine if you have
you're gonna run him, get him
like
hurt.
Taysom Hill.
Why not? It's football. Run him to the outside.
Danny, come on, super valuable chip. You're not going to run him.
They run
so you're going to have
you're going to
have a quarterback that you invested all this draft capital in that a bunch of teams would probably give you a player or two for, maybe even a first round pick for. I really believe that.
Depends on what the offer is. If I can
you're going to use him as some running quarterback in between throwing Brock Purdy back out there, there's no way I would want to go for that.
I don't think you have to run him up the middle, but I think you can run him off tackle around,
First of all,
sweeps and
Trey didn't run the 40 at the workout. I don't think functional speed. I don't think Trey's even faster than Purdy. I think Purdy's faster than Trey.
He's not quicker. He's not quicker for sure.
That's what I'm saying. Functional.
Trey's fast straight ahead. Trey is fast straight ahead.
Says who?
Look at his college.
He did have that.
He has no 40 time.
He did have that tracker on that had him over 20 miles an hour on a run,
but he never ran a 40 for the
club.
We don't know what he runs.
It's in North Dakota State. He's blowing through up the middle, and he's just outrunning everybody.
But that was the FCS level, and he wasn't really running by. It wasn't really running. He's more running through people. But I'm not trading away from
Trey Lance unless I get a really sweet deal.
Yeah, I don't think you're getting a first rounder for him at this point.
So I'm not trading.
I definitely do. I definitely think you're getting a first because of supply and demand. Because the teams that don't have a quarterback don't have anywhere to go.
Well, there's going to be
look at the 3 quarterbacks that are in this draft.
Yeah,
I'd rather have Trey than all of them.
Sure, there's going to be 8 to 10 teams looking for a quarterback next year for sure.
And there's only 3 or 4 that are supposed to go in the first round of the draft. And look who they are. They've got their own issues. I mean, is Bryce Young going to be an awesome NFL quarterback at 5'11" and change? I don't know. He's pretty slight. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think there's it's speculative. You know what I'm saying? Will Levis I like, but how good was Kentucky this year? Is he a better prospect than Lance or not? I think probably not. But
why would you trade Lance if you don't have Jimmy back? Who's your backup?
Who's to say you don't have Jimmy
Yeah.
back? I mean,
There was
you can do whatever you want. I mean, if maybe Jimmy wants, I think Jimmy's moving on for sure.
I
But
don't know why he wouldn't. He's going to want to play, and he's going to have money dangling in front of him.
The Jets probably will want him. I'm just
he's
saying,
going to get.
If you're the 49ers and you already have a quarterback that's your starting quarterback going forward, and you're convinced. I mean, if Purdy, I'm convinced right now, but let's just say Purdy goes on and leads the 49ers to the NFC Championship game. All right, then he's your guy, right? And do you try to support him? I would try to support him then with the best I could, which is, I want a good backup for sure. I want another quarterback, but I think I'd rather trade a guy like Trey Lance and see if I could add another piece to the puzzle.
Now you're in a position.
Dan, I will say there's 59 different quarterbacks have thrown at least 30 passes this year. Like, it's been insane. I think there's been 52 different starting quarterbacks. It's been apocalypse this year.
Yeah, there's teams that are going to be looking for quarterbacks. I think Jimmy gets
the Raiders.
And I'm going to say conservatively, Jimmy gets 35 million guaranteed somewhere.
But just in terms of also it'd be not it's nice having a backup that you can at least
That's what I say. I would keep Trey because I don't want to have a Super Bowl. I don't want a Super Bowl roster that's loaded everywhere, and then my QB1 goes down, and I got some guy that's new to the system. I don't want a Nate Sutfield.
But let's talk about things in a normal world. The backup, who is Dan Marino's backup quarterback?
I have no idea. That's too deep of a pull.
It was Don Strock. But the question is, basically, most teams, I mean, how many years has the NFL been playing the Super Bowl? It goes back to the 60s. How many backup quarterbacks ever reached the Super Bowl? A couple? Maybe? We're in Super Bowl. Isn't this Super Bowl 57 this year?
Yeah.
In the previous 56 Super Bowls, how many have been quarterbacked by backup quarterbacks? It's a very small number.
Hostetler and
seems like there's a lot more quarterback injuries now. I don't know what the
Bradshaw was in there for I think 1 year as the backup when wasn't
Bradshaw was the starter every year.
But Bradshaw eventually first took the job from Terry Hanratty. I think Hanratty was the starter.
But
I'm just saying there's a couple backup quarterbacks who have played. Didn't Namath beat Earl Morrall?
Earl Morrall. I was just going to say Earl Morrall for Unitas.
Yeah, David Woodley in Miami. He wasn't the starter. I mean, he wasn't the backup per se because I think he shared time.
Nick
Foles,
there's
been a few.
Nick Foles won it.
Nick Foles. But I'm just even saying, just started it. Forget won it. Just was in that game. It's really, really, really rare. So all I'm saying is, if you could get for a guy like Trey Lance, a 20th pick in the draft and take that tight end out of Notre Dame, Michael Mayer, and now you're adding a superstar tight end, to George Kittle. Now you've got some crazy. I mean, I think I would do that. I think I would do that.
I mean, if you could guarantee that. If you could guarantee that, then 100%. But I have my doubts that. I mean, if you look at Zach Wilson, what would he fetch on the open market now?
I think he could.
A 6th-round pick.
Get cut.
He might get cut or be a 7th-round pick. So I don't think. I just don't think Trey.
I kind of think these guys are worth more. We're eventually going to find out. I don't think Zach Wilson's worth a 7th-round pick, and I don't think Trey is worth a 3rd-round pick. I think Trey's worth a 1st-round pick, and I think Zach Wilson's worth a 3rd or 4th-round pick. We'll see. We'll see when the trades come down. Tavares says, stop, Larry. Trey is not going anywhere. 2 cheap quarterbacks. Team will have enough money to sign other players at different positions. Why is Trey not going anywhere? Why would you? Just because it's good for you doesn't mean that it's good for Trey. Why is Trey going anywhere? Because why would Trey want to be here?
Well, if Trey wants to go, then he's not I don't think he's going to be a guy.
Yeah.
If he doesn't think that he can compete and take on Brock Purdy in the draft,
but what if Brock wins a Super Bowl?
I still think he thinks that he can beat him out. That he can provide more upside.
But do you think he can beat him out? Because I don't.
I mean, I think there's a world where he could if he keeps improving.
Yeah. But
Like,
I mean,
got some,
look at where he is, where he throws a rocket ball and he's got unbelievable skills, but he doesn't understand, doesn't really not mastering the nuances of the position. He's completing, 50 something percent of his passes, and there's guys that are in the clear that he just doesn't hit. And how long can we, it's one thing for us to say, you know what, he'll get better when he's just going up against Jimmy Garoppolo, but now he's going up against a guy who's cheap and accurate.
Purdy.
And it's like, and a guy like Purdy is making that little throw, the short stuff, and it's like a handoff. It's like, complete. Purdy's completing passes on the run with live defenders sprinting at him. Plays where Trey would throw that ball away, Purdy's completing those passes.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, everybody's like, I'm not in a rush to get rid of Trey. I believe in Trey. But if Trey decides he wants to go,
yeah, like I'm in agreement with Ryan.
I don't think
the
you
guy
keep him
wants
against his
to,
will. I really don't.
I don't think he has the heart then to be the guy you want, because anybody that says, in his third year,
all he would be saying is Brock has established himself here in San Francisco as a
Super
Bowl winning
player. You can beat him out. You got to believe that you're more talented. You were the starting quarterback. Brock took your job, by default. I didn't get a chance.
And played a lot better than you played.
Well, he didn't even really get a chance. I mean, let's give him a break. I mean, he did play in the monsoon game, and it was horrible conditions. And then for opening drive against.
But Danny, you can't ignore the fact that Trey is outplayed. I don't care what size.
Well, yeah, I don't think he's. I think
there's
Brock
no doubt
is
he's
more suited for Kyle's system.
But it's like it's for the same reason that you think he can fetch a first round pick.
I do think he can fetch a first round pick because it's supply and demand. Just because I'm just saying this, that Brock Purdy is establishing himself in San Francisco. If he goes on and wins a couple more regular season games, that would be like 6 wins in a row. Then if you gave him a couple playoff wins, that would be 8 wins in a row and 2 playoff wins. We're not even at the NFC Championship game yet. We're not even at the Super Bowl yet.
I'm just a believer.
That right there is an incredible run. I don't know. I mean,
I'm just a believer. If you got a guy on a rookie contract, you've got him controlled for 5 years. The quarterback position is the one position you don't want to rely on an inexperienced, guy that doesn't.
But that's
know
what you
your
would
system.
have. You would have a very
at least he knows the system.
And an expensive one at that.
At least he knows the system. And Purdy donates $4.99. I don't know if this is true or not. He says everyone's fantasized about trading Trey. Unfortunately, there's a $20 million dead cap hit, I believe.
No, there's not.
I don't know anything about that cap, how that works. He's the most expensive water boy ever. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, to me,
does make a sizable amount of money for a backup quarterback.
Well, what's he going to be, about $10 million next year? $8-10 million?
Yeah, like $8-10 million for a backup.
I mean, that's high for a backup because he's a third pick in the draft.
Yeah, but even if you get
is in a supply and demand world. Okay, so somebody's going to get Garoppolo.
Yeah, it's a $20 million dead cap.
Somebody, supposedly they could move him this offseason without having a massive cap hit, from what I heard.
So Tavares, we're going to get through these. We got behind on some of these.
Purdy is overhyped. CMC is the MVP of this offense. Look at the team record since he joined, made Jimmy G and Purdy look great. I wouldn't say Purdy's overhyped at all, but CMC absolutely has had a huge impact on this offense. I mean, he was the ideal weapon for the 49ers to add for sure. All I'm saying is I would love to have them both because, heck, they're both cheap, right? You got a cheap rookie. You get 2 cheap rookies.
Well, I just think that's the ideal situation. I don't see the Niners going in, and especially if Jimmy moves on. Why would you get rid of Trey when Purdy? It would be
Larry's saying if Trey kind of forces their hand. But I don't know.
Assuming that Trey wants to stay. I'm assuming that Trey wants to play.
But Larry, if you were advising Trey, if you were thinking about what is Trey Lance's best chance of getting a second contract in the NFL, do you think it would be to get traded to the Texans or to stay with the Niners?
Well, why
It's a-
why is that?
there's
Why
a
are those the
discussion.
two options?
Or-
Well, first of all, if he's staying with the Niners and he's not playing, then I think I would rather play with the Texans than sit with the Niners. I mean, let's just be honest about this. Trey has a unique situation. He went to an FCS school, and then he had the pandemic hit. So he had that whole season where he only played one game of college. So there's 1 year of development lost. Now he's already had 2 years of NFL development lost.
3 years. 3 years
That's-
he's lost.
3 years he's lost. And if Purdy is establishing himself as the starter, and God, if he wins a couple playoff games, how could he not be the starter? Then you're looking at best in your 4th year coming in behind a guy who's the leader in the clubhouse competition wise. I'm just saying, if I was his agent, I think I would want to be somewhere else. And I like Shanahan. I don't know that I agree with you, Ryan. I don't know that I'd want to be a Texan, taking hits and that kind of thing. But if I really believe in myself, I want to get on the field. And I should be able to get on the field here. But if I can't, because Brock Purdy has established himself as the number one guy, I don't know.
Now a trade I would consider would
It's a
be
really tough situation.
a trade I would consider, but I don't know how it could work with the cap because Rodgers has such a huge cap. If you got Trey Lance over to Rodgers for Rodgers, and then I'm still, Purdy would be wonderful, but if you got Aaron Rodgers, I mean, you got to go with Aaron Rodgers, don't you? I mean,
no, I mean, why? If you have Aaron Rodgers, then you can't sign Bosa and you can't sign all these other guys.
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers.
That's true. I mean,
he
that's
makes
why
the most of anybody in pro football.
That's
I don't
why
see that at all.
That's why I keeping Purdy, because I don't want that $20 million cap hit, because that hurts you from signing.
But you just traded for Rodgers.
Well, I'm saying if that's the case, I wouldn't want Rodgers, because you make a good point. You want to be able to sign Bosa and Greenlaw, and
they're going with the rook. They're
Ayuk.
I mean, they're not going with Garoppolo. He's for sure gone. The question is Brady going to enter the picture? And then you got Purdy there, you got Trey there. Do you want Purdy and Trey, or do you want Purdy or Trey? Who would fetch more in a trade? It's interesting. Purdy's accomplished more and has had more success. Some people would probably make you good offers for him. Or there's Trey, and people, he's got more of an upside potential. He's obviously got huge talent. It depends what you want. Some teams will look at the projection. Some teams will want the bird in hand, but I don't think you keep them both.
Are the 49ers running into the Giants version of Willie McCovey and Orlando Cepeda?
How about Steve Young and Joe Montana?
Yeah, there you go. I mean,
yeah, I mean, that's a great one. It's kind of like Steve Young and Joe Montana, except they're both on rookie deals. How about that? And at the time, Steve Young was an incredible talent, but needed a lot of refinement. And Joe had this kind of feeling of, wow, this guy was born to play the position, but he probably needed some refinement as a rookie.
What happens if
what if essentially that's what they have? They have the next Joe Montana and the next Steve Young, and they're both rookies.
What if you have?
That'd be incredible.
At one point, Kyle flirted with this in Trey's rookie year, where he was bringing in Trey in the middle of a drive. What would you do if you had like two quarterbacks and you didn't know as a defensive coordinator what the heck to plan for, because you had both Purdy and Lance running two completely different types of offenses?
Knowing Shanahan and the 49ers luck, they would both simultaneously get injured on the same play.
Yeah, they would run into each other at practice and concuss both of them, and they're both in the protocol. Aerte, what does it say? Ertz 3 says, here's $4.99. What do you think about Ken Dorsey to Denver? Could be a good coach for Russ Wilson. He's a former Niners 7th-round quarterback. Yeah, I know Ken Dorsey. I've interviewed him a bunch of times. He's from Orinda. And, Ken Dorsey, I think, is going to be a good head coach. As far as, I think Denver, if you say, what do I think Denver needs? I think Denver, especially with a young general manager and a lot of young players, I think they need a head coach like a Sean Payton, who's done it before. You know, if you have an inexperienced general manager, give me a more experienced head coach. You know, if you added Sean Payton to Denver, somehow figured out what to do with Russell Wilson, you know, you still look at the weapons. They've got Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Alberto, Javonte Williams.
I'm right there with you, Larry, but I just don't think it can happen.
You don't think Peyton's going there?
I don't think it can happen because I don't think that would be Peyton's number one, 2, 3, or 4 choice with how Russ is playing. And then also, I think that they still would have to trade another pick to the Saints for
the
Sean Payton. So then it's like, oh my God, like
that's true. I forgot about that. The
pick.
Saints have to get compensation coming back for Peyton.
Hey, look at this situation. Let's take a look at some of these openings that we think will happen in the NFL real quick. And then it'd be
we get a super chat in here. 2.0 donates $1.99. It says the Montreal Alouettes have a spot open for Trey. Basically, that's saying that Trey's a CFL quarterback. We get this one from Purdy Me. He says $4.99. Everyone has fantasized about trading Trey.
We did.
Unfortunately, a $20 million cap hit, I believe.
Did we do this?
Various says stop. Okay, I'll do it.
Okay.
Just otherwise, we're gonna keep going back and forth over this. I'm trying to go down the row here. Let's go here. What's this one? Okay, we already got that one. I thought we had 2 more here.
I think we do.
Oh no, here this one we haven't read. Purdy Me says $4.99. We can't go into next year with Purdy having the most experience in the quarterback room. Tutoring Trey is a full-time job. Need a veteran backup. Jimmy G would be perfect. Yeah, but seeing as Jimmy G would be perfect, but Jimmy G thinks of himself as a starter. And also, you can't have a backup that's better than 10 starters in the league.
That's making starter money.
I mean, come on.
Hey, you know, the interesting thing with Sean Payton, I read a couple of days ago, says he would like to take Vic Fangio with him as his defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm like, I think the Niners got their eyes on him.
Yeah,
well, that would be a problem in Denver because he got fired in Denver as the head coach. So that's
exactly.
Jaguayo says, here's $2 if we trade Trey and Jimmy G leaves. Who's QB2, QB3? I don't know if anybody really cares at that point.
Anthony Richardson? Oh, wait, no, he's going to be like a top 10 pick.
Fozzie says, not that we care, but what's Jimmy G's market next year? I think Jimmy G is going to have a market for sure. I mean, I think Jimmy's
he's going to have his pick. Jimmy's going to have his pick of 2 or 3 teams, and it's going to come down.
I don't know about that because Jimmy.
I do. I think
nobody seemed to want Jimmy G this year.
Well, yeah, but that's because he was coming off shoulder surgery, and they didn't know what he was going to be. Now look at him. I mean, he got
hurt again.
He
gets hurt. I mean, the one thing about
really
Jimmy G is he does get hurt.
He does get hurt, but I still think somebody gives him 2 to 3 years with probably 3 years with like 35 million guaranteed.
I think the Giants try and sign him and he fails his physical.
Calbut says, here's $10. Dead cap if he's out is $20 million. If he's traded pre-June 1st, it's $11 million. I'd keep Trey, but if he wants to trade and doesn't want to compete, it would take a first rounder. Yeah, I don't think it's outrageous to think that they could get a first rounder. I'm not saying a top 10 pick. I mean, and if you're the Niners, you know what? You may want to work with Trey. You may want to work with him. Send him to a place that he wants to be. I mean, this is all people say, oh, this is premature. Purdy's only started a few games. Okay, but I mean, do you want the full? I mean, it's one thing this year, guys, to have Garoppolo, who's an older guy, and Trey as the younger guy, and try to make that work. And amazingly, it worked. And it only worked for one reason, because Trey got hurt. If Trey did not get hurt, this would not have worked. Why? Because there would have been guys saying, oh, Trey should play. Oh, no, Jimmy should play. It would have split the locker room. It would have caused a lot more controversy. Essentially, there was no controversy because Trey got hurt and Jimmy stepped in. And there was no like Trey's going to be out 6 weeks and then Jimmy's coming back. It's Trey's done for the year and Jimmy's the guy. So it worked. And now imagine next year and Jimmy G's moved on and you've got Brock Purdy and you got guys in that room that believe in Brock Purdy. And then you got Trey Lance and you got guys in that room that believe or really like Trey Lance. And they're both young guys. It's good on the cap, but that's the only place it's good, really. Otherwise, I think you're inviting a major split of your football team. What if Brock Purdy plays really well in the last couple of games and wins one playoff game and then gets beat in the playoffs? You're telling me that unless he played really poorly in that game, I still think guys are going to show up expecting Brock to be the starting quarterback. And if he's not, I think they lose a little. I don't think there's going to be a uniform opinion in the room if they go with Trey Lance and sit Brock Purdy as the backup next year. I don't. And what if Trey struggles a little bit? Then immediately people are like, Brock. And is this a good situation? It's good on the cap, but is it good other than the cap? What do you guys think? Because you're talking about two guys that, Jimmy could easily say, hey, I'm putting my arm around Trey. He's the future. I'm the past. Jimmy's got this kind of like cool thing about him where he could deal with it. And it still was going to be awkward except for the injury. But now, wouldn't it be incredibly divisive to have two guys on rookie contracts battling? No?
It's a real Cousins RG3. It's hilarious. Everyone joked about it.
It really
actually is.
That is such a perfect comparison because that's exactly what it is. And how did that resolve itself? I mean, we know RG3 got hurt, but did they trade RG3? Or did
I'm kind of having a hard time remembering. I just remember that they get every year they get franchise tagged Kirk until he's making like $1 zillion a year.
We got this one. Purdy Mises 499. What was nice about Purdy was he was able to step in and run the same offense as Jimmy G. If Trey is the backup, the playbook shrinks immensely if Purdy goes down. Yeah, I mean, does it or does it just change it?
Gotta give. It is kind of nice that Jimmy being such a soldier, like good soldier through this whole thing, really did kind of set a tone for the Niners quarterback room. I think that probably Trey really appreciated the way, Jimmy went about his business. And I do think there's kind of a precedent set. Like all those guys are just such good dudes. I think it could work.
I'm changing his name with this comment. Let me read this one. Glass half empty says, I'm going with Trey next season. I need
half
to
full.
see
You said half empty. He's half full.
No, he's half empty with this comment because
okay.
Why would you, if Brock Purdy takes you to the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl, why would you go with Trey?
He says, I'm going with Trey next season. I need to see a full year of him to see what he is, not enough to make out what he is in my opinion. My humble opinion. Well, the whole thing is that's great if they were the San Francisco Trey Lancers, but they're not. They're the 49ers. You're not. That's one of those comments. I hate to say it, glass half full guy, but that's a comment that's made with somebody who's never been in that room. Because if you've ever been in that room, there are men in that room who don't give a shit who the hell the quarterback is. And all they know is they've got 1 year of football left or 2 years of football left. And they're not giving away a season so that you can see in a fair proving ground who the exact better quarterback is. They fucking want to win now. And they ain't waiting around. And they don't want to waste any more time. And they don't have 2 years to invest in finding out definitively who the best guy is. So in an ideal world, sure. But I mean,
this isn't everybody gets a participation trophy award.
Yeah, it's fair is fair. He needs more time.
Yeah.
You get what you get.
It's like almost like the Rams. Like if the Niners were like sort of like the Rams and Purdy was sort of Stafford, and it's like, they were so over leveraged with all these guys that they really knew they only had 1 year left, and then they win the Super Bowl, and it's kind of like everything comes crumbling down. Then you know what? It would be nice to have Trey and maybe play him, and you can kind of develop him. But it's like, no, they have this window for the next 4 years, I would say probably, and they're going to try and maximize wins at all costs.
Anonymous says Trey was outplayed. Really? Come on. It's been 3 games, Larry. Shan's Trey play calls have been horrid. I like Purdy too back in August, but I'm not betting my life on him making the Hall of Fame just yet. Well, this is something that people use all the time. They'll throw out something totally ridiculous. Nobody said he's going to the Hall of Fame, and nobody told you to bet your whole life on him being in the Hall of Fame. But Trey has been outplayed? Yes.
Come on,
Let's say
anonymous.
Let's
What
say it
kind
all
of
together.
comment is that?
Trey has been outplayed. Brock Purdy's completing close to 70% of his passes. He does it in practice. He does it in the games. He did it in the preseason. He's doing it in the regular season. He'll likely do it in the postseason. Trey has a hard time completing 50% of his passes, though I like him as a prospect. That's what's going on. 50% of his passes in college, 50% of his passes in camp, 50% of his passes in the preseason. He's completing, balls that Brock Purdy can throw as layups, little 5-yard touch passes. Trey Lance completes half of those. So I don't know what your issue is. I don't know why I don't know if it's anonymous and you're Trey's brother and this is your burner. I don't know. But all I got to say is anybody who has any ounce of objectivity to their evaluation has to say that Brock Purdy has clearly outplayed both Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo. We've seen it since minicamp. I've been talking about it since basically training camp. But that's what's happened. And everybody just kind of ignored it. I mean, heck, if you listen to the beat writers, there were beat writers who were like convinced that Nate Sudfeld was making this team because of a $2 million commitment.
It just occurred to me, Larry, why in the beginning of the season, everybody was complaining about the playbook for Trey Lance and why wasn't he able to run Kyle's offense? It's because it just hit me. We're seeing Purdy execute it. It's a timing-based offense. And if your ball's not on target on those quick slants or on those
it's about efficient throwing in a run-heavy system.
You can't have a quarterback who can't execute a quick offense. It's based on timing. It throws everything off. That's why, and it just hit me. That's why he was running. That's why he was running them so much. I was questioning myself. I was going, why is Kyle running this guy and not giving him a chance to run the offense that we saw Jimmy run? Now I see it because Purdy executes it flawlessly, and Trey wasn't able to obviously do it because he was hitting 50% of his passes in camp.
Tavarius says, preach, Anonymous. Larry failed to realize this. I didn't fail to realize shit. I'm watching these guys. I have no vested interest. I don't get any money either way. Whether it's Trey or Jimmy, I'm just telling you what my honest opinion. And it was pretty obvious all summer, and I said it to you guys many times in these things that Jimmy Garoppolo was the most accurate quarterback in training camp. I should say Brock Purdy was the most accurate quarterback in training camp, and it was not close. It was like he was throwing strikes. Everybody else was throwing an occasional strike. 49er Faithful says, here's $2. He says, I want to see the Niners use a 2-quarterback system again in 23 and 24. Yeah, I don't know about that.
I do think that is like, if you want to talk about like some crazy changes that could happen to the league, I do think with the way the college system is pushing in these quarterbacks into the NFL, all of their skill sets are like, run pass option. And it's not all of this like classical Brock Purdy stuff. And, they're fantastic athletes and whatnot. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point, a team is rolling with Justin Fields, like a Justin Fields type, plus maybe another running quarterback. And it's like getting real freaky with it.
Well, we've already seen it with Baltimore with Huntley and Lamar, right?
But I mean, literally on this field at the same time. I think it could happen in the future. In the future.
Like a wildcat type situation.
Yeah, but like how they say like the pro game's kind of dictated by college because they just can only use like what the college game gives them in the drafts. Like if these kind of guys like Rodgers and like if these guys like these past couple quarterback drafts have been really weak. So if it just keeps being these guys with all these crazy tools that don't really play quarterback, there's going to be some coach that gives it a try.
Well, we saw a little bit of it with Taysom Hill with New Orleans a few times.
He's a terrible quarterback.
Yeah, he can't throw. Yeah,
Trakey Automay says, "What? Trakey
oh
Automay?
My gosh!
What about Tim Tebow as a backup next year? Basically Trey Lance, but much cheaper, or Jordan Love, aka Trey Lance, in a few years, and he works really hard." Back?
Or Steve Young. Steve's only 61, I think.
We got this one, glass half full guy. Hey, Dan, what's your thoughts on the latest with Correa? Is there a way he could actually sign here? After all, I'm hopeful, but also realistic.
My thoughts are I'm hopeful as well. I don't
You are?
know. I'm hopeful, but I don't know what's going to happen. I would be surprised if he works it out with the Mets because he doesn't want to restructure the deal. My thinking is that if he works it out with the Mets, he settles. But if he signs with any other team, they may file a grievance against Steve Cohen and the Mets because he basically broke the union code of silence. You're supposed to say silence on these agreements until it's signed. That's why the Giants never said anything. So if he signs somewhere else, Cohen may be on the hook for the difference. Let's say he signs for $200 million. They might file a grievance for $115 million against Boros because Cohen made the deal public, and he said he's the missing piece. And I don't know what'll happen.
It's an insane.
What does saying he's the missing piece mean? Why would that cost him $150 million?
Well, I don't know what it'll cost him, but I do know that there can be a grievance filed against a team for basically saying, they're making the terms public.
By who? Who's damaged?
Well, Correa, if he can't get that money now, they may be on the hook for the $350.
If they were talking about his health situation in the public, that'd be one thing. But I don't see what the Mets did any differently than what the Giants did. The Giants never made the deal public. They never talked about it. What have the Mets said?
Didn't they make the?
No, the Giants never said a word about the.
But what have the Mets said?
Yeah,
Steve Cohen said, I want him, and I'm willing.
I want him is not damaging.
Yeah, but he said I'm willing to go 300. He said he's the missing piece. He talked about
but none of that's damaging.
You're not supposed to make any comment.
But that's not worth $150 million.
I don't know how that
would be worth
works.
Money where a grievance would be if they somehow disclose private medical information that they weren't. But the Giants didn't do that, and the Mets didn't do that. But here's the bigger question: are the Giants vindicated to some degree by the Mets also taking issue with Correa's medicals?
Undoubtedly. I mean, it's kind of sad because it was pretty fun to rip Farhan for 3 hours straight and figure out who the blame was for. Farhan does, you know what? He deserves a little bit of an apology because this is turned into a lot more insane than any of us could have imagined.
One thing is like guys like Ned Coletti, when we had Ned on, Ned wasn't critical of Farhan for that. His point was simply
was the press conference.
His point simply was that you don't call a press conference before you have a name on the contract. And that, to me, still nothing about this latest deal changes that. So I think the Giants still look bad, but they don't look like they were using any data in the medicals to get out of a deal. But then you also have to ask yourself, so the Giants saw there was an issue with the medicals and the deal's done, not to be revisited, despite the fact they had the highest offer. The Mets also noticed the same irregularity with the medicals, and their deal is off as well, but they're still in it. And now we're being told there's 3 other teams showing new interest in the player.
We don't know who those teams are. Could be the Giants. Some people
Giants could be one of the teams.
Could be one of the teams.
I mean, do you think the Giants are one of the teams?
It would be funny if you went back to the Astros and they moved Pena to center field or something.
Do you think the Giants are one of the teams?
Probably not. I think
they are. I think they are. I think they wanted to renegotiate. They said they wanted to renegotiate, but
they never called back.
No, they wanted more time. I heard a little bit more today. 1:00 came. Giants still wanted more time. Boris wasn't willing to give him more time. Giants were trying to get more opinions on what was really going on. They wanted to look at it. And I think the Giants still are interested. I think personally, Giants have the money to give a higher AAV for shorter term. I personally would go, I don't know what the conditions are. Let's say he's fine. They think he's fine for
I mean, the deal was a bad deal.
Yeah, it's a bad deal
at 13 million.
I'm
at
glad
13
they're
years,
out
I
of
mean.
that particular deal.
I am too. I
But
I never
13
liked.
years
I never
is,
liked 13
is
years.
But why not? If they think he's fine for at least 5 to 7 years, why not go 5 years at 200 million, 40 a year, and a third year club opt out if he doesn't meet a certain number of games?
He's not worth 40 million a year.
Well, he is if he brings other people.
Who's he bringing?
You've got other future free agents coming in the years ahead.
Who do you got?
Well, Ohtani would be one. I mean, Ohtani ain't coming to be the first guy. You don't have a shot at
other
Ohtani.
people. I mean, he's not bringing other people. He's just
sure he is, Larry. Sure he would be. Yeah. If you had Carlos Correa and
because he's not
going
to bring other people because that's gonna take away the money. The Giants don't have an endless pool of money.
Well,
this idea that they're somehow going to go get
nothing on the books.
Go get Correa and Ohtani. I mean, that was never.
But next
year
never
in the cards.
Next year, there's nothing on the. Hey, they can't compete the way they have right now.
They're over under on the Giants this morning is 76
79,
wins.
76, 79, 76. Yeah, I mean they ain't going anywhere right now. We know that.
Chance of making the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, I even said with Correa, without Conforto and who else did they sign? And Rodgers. Prior to that, just with Correa, they weren't a playoff team. They need more.
Very interesting situation that the Giants, said that Correa wasn't healthy, but then they signed Haniger and Conforto, who combined played 57 games last year. And you could make an argument that the two most injury-related players on the market were Haniger and Conforto. They both signed with the Giants. And yet the Giants get out of the Correa deal out over injury concerns.
Well, I think it's wise they did get out with the 13.
I do too, but I mean, they got in. I mean, why'd they get in?
Well, I think they got in because they didn't. I think what happened
was a reaction for not
getting
judged.
The injury actually happened in 2014, but he said he aggravated it where it felt like somebody hit the plate on September 20th. So just the last 2 weeks of the regular season. So nobody really, no new scans of that leg had been. So there's possibility.
I would love to know what the Giants and the Mets both saw.
Well, there's something there. There's something there. The Mets got the money and they're not signing them right now. So under the terms of 12/3/15. So there's definitely something there in those images that have people concerned, whether it's the stability of the leg for how long. I try and work out a short-term deal. And, to me, if Correa, even if it at 30 million a year at 5 years, that's 150. I think for the Giants to get him, they have to be higher than anybody else. And so I'm willing to go a little higher for 5 years, but I want a third-year club opt-out if he misses so many games, due to the injury with that leg and
it seems like all the opt-outs are going on the players' side.
Well, I think if Correa
has there been one on the team side this
I haven't
offseason? Most of them are on the players' side.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Correa is not going to have much of a choice if that thing really looks bad. I
I really like Carlos Correa, but not at 13 years. I mean, I'm not at 10 years.
Yeah, I hope the Giants don't do
excessive.
I hope the Giants won't do any. I'm hoping that this puts a new kind of damper on these long 12 to 13 year contracts because they're awful. The best clubs in baseball right now that are run, in my opinion, it's the Astros, the Braves, and the Dodgers. Those are the three teams that are run the best. And to me, the Braves are clear-cut favorite. I mean, they get young guys. They just signed today Sean Murphy to 6 years and $73 million, I think, or something like that.
Did he hit 200?
I'm not sure what he did, but
wow.
What the Braves are doing is locking up all their guys for 6 to 8 years. They got
prospects. All those teams have prospects.
Yeah, and they lock them in for 6 to 8 years. The reason they let Dansby Swanson go is because he was closer to 30. they locked all these other guys in their 20s, in their low, early 20s. So all their contracts are going to expire when these guys hit close to 30, 31, 32. And then, that's a really smart way to run a baseball club.
Well, the bottom line is that, whether it's Farhan running the show, Bobby Evans, Sabian, the Giants got to get their farm system going. Ertz3 says $1.99. What can Trey do to improve in the offseason? Well, same thing that, that any quarterback can do. They can work on their fundamentals. They can work on their throwing. They can throw independently with their receivers on the team outside the facility. There's only so many hours they can spend in the facility, but you work on your body. You work on rehabbing and strengthening your body, learning the system, going through each play, making sure you've got the footwork down, just reps, just mental and physical reps, and a ton of them. And he will do it. And he's committed to doing it. That's actually one of the reasons I love Trey as a prospect, is that he's all about football, but he also has a lot of learning to do to catch up to Brock Purdy. And I don't see it happening. I really don't. Jaguar 56 is $2. What if D'Amico goes to Carolina? Maybe Jimmy G goes there too. Darnold's playing well in Carolina. What do you guys think of Carolina? They're playing really, really well.
I don't know. I'm not a huge believer in Sam Darnold.
I'm not either.
I wanted to run something by you guys and see what your thoughts were, because I looked at the NFL coaching jobs. It's always kind of interesting. The end of the season here, guys are getting fired. We've already had the first firing with Hackett, but I looked at the NFL roster teams, and I'm only seeing like 5 head coaches that I would say have a strong possibility of being let go. If you went through the AFC East, I don't think anybody gets fired. Buffalo, Miami, New England, the Jets, I think they all come back.
Belichick, you think stays?
Who?
Yeah. Belichick probably.
Oh, yeah.
Belichick hiring Matt Patricia as an offensive coordinator.
That's
has to
a
be the
bad
most
move.
puzzling decision of the year.
That's the weirdest move. I said
that one is really bizarre.
I think we all said it. We were like shocked. I mean,
that's kind of like feeling. That's like the heat check of heat checks. Like, I'm so badass, I can turn. As long as he's on my staff and I'm overseeing it, I can have any defensive coach doing anything at all, and then it will just work out.
Oh, gosh.
Cincinnati, Baltimore, Pittsburgh.
Larry doesn't even see it. Jeez.
It's Boban.
Look at the shoulder development.
Oh, look at the hands.
Look how small the basketball is on those monster hands.
Great. Look at that. So go through the AFC North. Cincinnati, he's back. Baltimore, back. Pittsburgh, Cleveland, all of them are back. AFC South, Jacksonville, Tennessee, they're back. Indiana,
Colts have a new coach.
Houston, those are two new coaches. There's 2 right there.
Well,
I think Lovie Smith's gone. Why would you bring Lovie Smith back?
Well, they seem like they like Lovie Smith.
The hire felt like, because I'm with you, Larry. Like they've been playing really well lately. It seems like they're playing for him, but it did feel like bringing him in was kind of like no one's going to get mad if we get rid of this guy. Like he's, the ceiling there isn't quite there.
I'll say this though, Dan's right about this coaching thing there. Like, okay, so if you got Colts and Texans, let's say those 2.
That's 2. KC, LA Chargers, and Raiders, and Denver's another one. That's 3.
Denver's 3.
Raiders, I don't think the Raiders get rid of
the one team that absolutely is not going to make a coaching change is the Raiders.
So there's 3.
Denver, Gruden, and they just basically brought in McDaniels.
The NFC East,
maybe Dallas.
Maybe Dallas if they go out, if they lose in the first or second round. That would be possibility. The NFC
maybe
North,
Rivera, maybe.
I don't see it.
No, he's viewed as the steadying influence in turbulent waters. And as far as the NFC North, all those guys are coming back.
Plus what Rivera went through personally, physically, and coming back, I don't see
Carolina's looking for a coach.
Yep.
The
Saints, maybe the Saints. You think Allen? Maybe the Saints.
Maybe
Peyton comes back. I don't know.
And then you go to the
maybe
NFC
the Seahawks. Maybe Pete Carroll steps down.
Maybe Tampa Bay. I don't
know.
Arizona. Definitely Arizona.
Arizona, and maybe Peyton I mean, not Peyton. McVay. Maybe McVay goes to the
Yeah.
TV booth.
I think eventually, but you think he's going to go right now? Maybe. I mean, you never know, but I would say definitely the Cardinals and
He
maybe
looks
the
at his
Seahawks.
app and he sees.
I think McVay's there as long as I think he's tied to Stafford. As long as Stafford's coming back, I think McVay's coming back. But I don't think Stafford has more than another year or two.
Is that
Stafford
Heckle P? What's Heckle P? Says, to what degree is Dave Lombardi's success due to his last name being Lombardi? So people think he's football important, even though he's not actually related.
Well, there might be something there. I mean, Michael Lombardi. I don't think he's related. These guys.
First of all, Dave. Let me just say. I mean, love Dave, hate Dave. Some people love him, some people don't. I've known him forever. I'm the one who gave him his start. He was just writing for the Stanford blog, basically on Stanford football, and I put him on our pregame show, and let him
because of the last name.
No, just because he was a really sharp young guy, but he, we look at things differently, but he's a sharp guy, and he hustles. He's very analytical. And there are people, he said a couple things on Twitter. People have banged on him, for saying, "Oh, I'm right all the time" and stuff like that.
There it is, right there. Dave knows his stuff, but he's arrogant. Yeah, he said
he's not really arrogant as a person. Not really arrogant. Like,
no, doesn't come
arrogant
that
to
way.
me. He's not arrogant to Rye when we see him.
I don't know him, and he seems like he's pretty knowledgeable to me.
No, he hustles. Come on. I mean,
I did ask him in a tweet because he did have. I've noticed he's been pretty high on Purdy right now and talking.
I think there's a lot of people that are high on him now.
Singing his praise, but I said I did remind him. I said you had Nate Sudfeld as a lock.
What did he say to that?
He never answered me. I said, "Why did you?" I was just curious because I asked him. I said, "You were at practice every day, didn't you see?" Because he made a comment about Brock Purdy's quickness,
right?
And I said, "Well, didn't you see it in camp?"
Right? Were you standing the whole time?
Oh yeah. I'm in a Chubba cupboard.
I used to have one of those boards off to Rye's left shoulder. See how it has holes in it right there?
Yeah. I got to stand myself here. My back's killing me.
Really? Danny's now standing because of need.
I'll give you a little tour ski. This is what's happening. I'm literally in a cupboard.
Oh, there's I was saying, what the heck is micro? That's your piece. Yeah. That's your laptop there.
Yeah, I could go on a murder fest with all of this stuff.
Look at that.
Hacksaws.
Is that a paper cutter?
No, I think that's a leaf blower. Some tennis rackets.
Tennis racket. Okay.
Yeah, some family photos. Under there's like a really scary under the house.
Where's
spot.
Ringo? Not
Ringo. Ringo's unfortunately with my sick father.
Oh, yeah.
But I can show you the cats later if I can find them.
How's Ringo going to get?
Yeah, that's exactly. We're definitely looking for the cats. But no. Heckle P, I would say, give Dave a break. Dave's out there doing his best.
What's this? Were you talking about your fantasy team? I didn't hear you talking about your fantasy team.
Says no one gives a F about your fantasy team, Larry.
Okay. You didn't say anything about.
Oh no, he's attributing the quote to you.
Oh,
that's what I said last year. No one gives a fuck about your fantasy team.
Okay.
Wait, just one more Brock Purdy thing. That's it's so crazy. Just I know it. Obviously, we all know it. But going to just look at his contract, it's like they have him on the hook for this year, 23, 24, 25, and then he's an unrestricted free agent in 26. But the cap hit is 724,000. $889,000, $1 million, $1.1 million. The dead cap is 77 grand, 57 grand, 38 grand, 19 grand. It is just insane.
Ertz3 says, here's $4.99. Is it possible the Carlos Correa can't push for the press conference early to try to get the desperate Giants to overlook the medical? Boris had to know. That's an interesting point.
There's been some talk on that.
Eric L says, Larry, you didn't say that when the news broke. Why the change?
Oh, on the contract for Correa, the 13,350.
What about it? That
you were against it.
Oh, that I didn't like it?
Yeah.
Well, First of all, okay, it's free agency. So if you have any, smarts at all, you kind of acknowledge going in that you're going to get screwed, right, on the price. Like, you're not getting a screaming deal. It's free agency. This is where guys get these bonanza deals. So on some level, I'd kind of convince myself that, you know what, that's the price to pay to swim in these waters. And I do, still feel that way. But the more I looked at that deal, I wanted it for the Giants just because the Giants badly need a face of the franchise. The Giants badly need a jolt of energy. They badly need an injection of talent, especially in their lineup, especially in the middle of their lineup. So guys like myself, Danny, and other hardcore Giants fans were like, yeah, we're really excited. Why? Because it was Farhan doing something instead of doing nothing. But then when you thought about it for 24 hours, you thought about it for 48 hours, and then we talked about it, and I'm like, you know what? I don't feel comfortable. And then I'm talking to Ned about it, and he's like, well, how many years would you actually, if you were in charge, how many years would you actually go on the contract? And
8.
When Ned asked me that, I thought about it. I'm like, 8, because I think the last 5 years, I mean, I don't want the guy from 30. I don't want him after 35.
Yeah, look at the strain the Giants had with Samardzija and Cueto. They couldn't wait to get rid of those contracts.
Oh, they could
I was
throw
willing to have some dead money, but just only 2 years, maybe 3 years, not 5 years.
You were
5
Larry.
Years dead money's too much.
You're telling me you didn't want to throw a bar mitzvah for the Correa deal?
How'd you guys like my? Did you guys see my tweet? I said breaking news. Correa signed, and I put a picture of Kai Correa up.
Oh, yeah.
I did see that.
I thought I was hoping somebody
just said, hey, man, read my super chat. But I think I did, didn't I?
Heckle P.
Yeah, I did. I read the Dave Lombardi Heckle P.
I got you.
Maybe he had a newer one.
Did you have a new one, Heckle P?
No, that was it.
Maybe that was posted after.
If there's one thing I could change about StreamYard, it would be to give us a little bit more viewing of the texts, so we don't have to go up and down and just on a scroll.
I must say I have a lot more mobility when I'm in my when I'm playing a home game, and I can just really scroll on my monitor.
Well, I'm looking through his.
You know what? Hey, I like this comment. This is not a super chat, but that makes me feel good. That's a nice comment.
GD5, you guys are humble and about the content, not trying to seem like you know better than us as fans. Oh, but we do. We know a lot more than that. And that's what makes this channel work. Dave Lombardi alienates the fans, and that's his issue. Okay. GD5, we're a lot more important than you. And I actually did a show with a guy, and I won't name him, but he literally, somebody started talking out of the audience, and he got up at a commercial, and he walked over to them and he said, we are much more important than you.
Oh my God.
I remember just putting my hands over my head like, no, don't. Oh, it was hilarious. And if you ever see me out and about, I will tell you the truth on who it was, but I can't. I really cannot say it here on the live stream. Brian Lucena, he says,
I think
Larry, I'm more humble than anyone in this chat. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Brian. It's an arrogance, but with humility. There we go. Bomber T. Larry, Dan, and Ryan are true class ass. Well, class acts. Class acts. I thought he was going to say class action lawsuit. I got a little nervous there. Senior softball games. Damon Bruce for sure. All right, easy. I can neither confirm nor deny. I'm a big fan of D. Bruce. So that's kind of where, as far as the Giant situation, whether they get back in on Correa or not, they just got to do something. They just got to keep making moves. They got to find a trade. I think they've got to do something to kind of excite people, wouldn't you say? Somehow, some way. I'm not really sure exactly, what move they need to make. To me, they need a center fielder. They need a first baseman.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him add one more pitcher, but Spencer says,
Evaldi
what's the Giants' projected win total? It's like 76 wins right now.
Evaldi signed with the Rangers.
Oh, he did? Today? Like this minute?
No, earlier today. Yeah. So the Rangers have signed 3 pitchers. They got DeGrom, Heaney, and Evaldi. These guys are
good for. And isn't Maddox's brother the pitching coach there? Isn't Mike Maddox a pitching coach?
I'm not sure.
That's that full guy. How do you guys feel about the Conforto signing?
Feeling his. Look
at that! Calba dropping the C note. Look at that! Look at that! Just Merry Christmas to everyone. The Krueg Show is fantastic, and I appreciate the entertainment and great content on the show. I don't like Dan very much, and he's sometimes very embarrassing. I'm adding that in. Larry, Dan, and Ryan and others put in lots of time, and we get utility out of it. Many of you aren't members. $5 a month won't kill you. Don't be cheap. Oh, I like that, Calba.
Like that,
Calba. Doorman.
Hey, man.
Calba.
Calba is going against MF in the Krueg Show.
In the donation contest?
In the Krueg Show Fantasy Championship. And I was going to say something, not derogatory, but I was going to say something. But now Calba donates $100 and has a lot of nice things to say. So I can't.
You're going to rip Calba?
They beat me twice in the last 2 weeks. And both times, Jonathan Taylor, first game was a bye. And then the second game, he gets hurt on the first play of the game. And I lost by 3 points both times. So I'm feeling kind of like, man, I made so many deals to make my roster, which stunk after I got this here. Larry's muted. Larry, you're muted. Your mouth's moving, but we don't hear anything.
Oh.
Well, he's going. Is he listening? Can he even hear us? This is great. Larry's he doesn't even know. No one can hear him.
2 minutes till the draft, Danny. 2 minutes until the draft.
There you go. You're back.
2 minutes.
You were muted the whole time. We missed your monologue.
All right, there you go.
We missed your monologue. You were muted for like 60 seconds.
Damn
what were
it.
you going on about my my drafting incapabilities?
I said right before the draft, we were making fun of you. We were saying, Dan, just log on. You got it right, Dan?
I had no idea what I was doing. I literally thought we were going to have a big board and we were going to go like, I'll take.
Wait, you know what? I'm going to mute myself real quick. I'm going to try and find like some funny highlights from this draft because there has to be some.
Oh God, there's got to be some. There's got to be absolutely some.
That was hilarious. You guys are like,
Dumb and Dumber. Oh. There's some good little sound bites in here. There you go.
Yeah, you get to play next week, Larry. Ryan and I have to sit out.
Why?
Because there's no game. I finished my season. You're playing for 9th place.
Oh man. It was a rough season for me on the fantasy league, man. Every time I turned around, it was just incredible. I guess I was muted a while. You got a bunch of people in the chat. Like, Larry, you're muted. You're muted.
We were yelling at you, but you were like not listening.
God damn it!
Here, wait. I'm just gonna
have a foghorn.
I don't know. I'm just gonna jump in at a random point in this draft.
Right. Okay.
Dang it. The auto draft.
That's me.
Auto draft for Dan. You better put some guys in the queue or something.
Okay.
No, it was really funny right before the draft when we're like, Dan, you ready?
And just search login Yahoo.
This is it right here.
Okay. Yahoo login. Got it.
Yahoo login.
Now click the second one.
Use another account or use the nothing is wasted one.
Just use the nothing is wasted one.
I don't think that's going to work, but
no, it will.
I don't think that's going to work.
Okay, now you're logged in.
Yeah.
Okay, now.
Oh no, let's see football. I don't see enter.
Screen to go to do my picks, right? Because
Oh, who is that? Who is that?
Click on the
right there?
bottom left. Click on the button like this right here.
Oh, that's
Now my son's trying to
Dan
explain.
has the Yahoo Sports app. Not that you have to download the Yahoo Fantasy app, Dan.
I thought I did.
No,
Hey,
no, you
that's
didn't.
guys that played in the other league.
Ah.
Nick was in our league. Look at Nick cracking
Yeah, it says fantasy. It says Yahoo Fantasy on the thing. Justin.
Oh, let's go.
I just took Justin Jefferson, so the
You
rest
let,
of you guys
you
are
let me get Dalvin?
Oh, this is the draft going on.
Okay, yeah, all right, that's probably enough. But that's funny. Remembering.
God. Next year, I'll be ready. I will be ready and armed, and I have a whole different strategy next year.
Glass half full guy. Big fan of yours, Larry, since your KMBR days. Curious if you think this 49er team is better than the 2019 teams, sans the QB. Okay, so the 2019 team is the team that lost to the Chiefs.
This is a better team.
That team had a D Ford, who was a difference maker off the edge. But other than that, I think this team's better. Now, a lot of it is about Purdy.
McCaffrey.
I don't, and maybe I'm wrong in having this confidence in Brock, but I feel really confident in when I watch Brock. I feel like he sees it. He's going to take care of the football. He's going to make the right reads. The ball's going to come out on time. It's going to be accurate. And when he gets down into the fourth quarter, he's going to compete like crazy. I just feel really a lot better about him. Now, I realize I'm not naive to the fact that this 4 games is too quick to evaluate a quarterback. If we evaluated everybody on 4 games, Kaepernick's going to the Hall of Fame. Or, Jimmy Garoppolo looks monster. Would he go 5-0 to start his Niner career?
Oh, yeah, true. 6-0.
And there's others who had hot starts.
Who's the
petered out.
Cowboys backup this year?
The backup?
Oh,
for the
Cooper Rush.
Cowboys?
Cooper Rush.
Yeah, Cooper Rush. He didn't. He'd lose one game after won 5 in a row or something.
But see, to me, and I hate to say it this way, but I don't think it's about the number of games, because I went back and studied Brock at Iowa State and looked at a lot of film over the last month, really. And what we're seeing now is what Iowa State fans saw when he was there. This is what he's doing. Like, the way he's playing right now is the way he plays. This is how he plays. He breaks contain. He's a late in the down thrower. He extends the play, and then he keeps his eyes on the receivers, and then he throws an accurate pass. To go 30-17 and win 65% of your games in the Big 12 at Iowa State is saying something. So I don't know. Maybe it's just because of Brock, but I got tremendous confidence in Brock, and I think Shanahan does as well. And I think Shanahan would be saying it more publicly if it wasn't also kind of sensitive as far as Jimmy and Trey and how he comes off, right? If it was just about complimenting Brock, I think he would be more willing to do it. But because every compliment of Brock also plays like a condemnation of the other guys, I think, Shanahan's even hesitant to do it. Yesterday he was asked about the quarterback room next year, and he basically just said, I don't even know if I'll be alive next year, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
He just begged out basically and said, I don't want to answer that. He's like, it's a great question, except I don't want to look that far ahead.
We kind of hypothesized that this might be kind of like invigorating for Shanahan, just like the fact that, like, all of a sudden it's like pressure's off, like you're on your 3rd string quarterback, no one's really expecting anything, and it's like, man, he is really thriving in this role. And now all of a sudden, you look and it's like, now this is 3 out of 4 years where he's gone double digits, and if they make another NFC championship, I mean, he's up there. He's up there with the best coaches in the league.
Let's do this. Let's play some spots right here. We'll come back with some thoughts after this on the Krueg Show.
Larry Krueger here for Telmetrics. Thanks to Casey Bateman and the good people at Telmetrics. If you're an occupational therapist, if you're an orthopedic surgeon, a chiropractor, a physical therapist of any kind, Telmetrics is designed for you to use in your practice and will greatly benefit your patients. Telmetrics uses computer vision and artificial intelligence and provides a platform for outpatient rehab therapy services, both in the clinical and the telehealth environments. So using Telmetrics can improve your patient's experience and much more. So for all your sports injury needs, or if you're a physical rehabilitation specialist of any kind, make sure you use telmetrics.co, Telmetrix.co. And thanks to Casey Bateman and all the good people at Telmetrics for being a proud sponsor of the Krueg. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Dan Coach Emilio. Dan is a buddy, and he is a phenomenal retirement planning specialist. And you can contact him today at securemoney.com or at his number, 925-628-9966. There's a lot of uncertainty in our world right now, and you want to make sure that your money is secure. That is the key. Danny's got 25 years of experience, born and raised right here in the Bay Area, and he can help you get an immediate 10% premium bonus on your principal retirement account. So give him a call, 925-628-9966. He'll make an appointment with you, and you can sit down. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of a deal. He'll consult with you and come up with a strategy to get you going to where you want to be. Once again, 925-628-9966, securemoney.com on the web. And thanks to And thanks to Tony Cassera and the good people at Cassera's Italian Menswear. They are housing the Krueg Show t-shirts, and they're a proud sponsor of the show as well. The Krueg Show t-shirt, the Krueg Show podcast t-shirt is available there at their store in Dublin. Their address is 7372 San Ramon Road in Dublin, California. And go see Tony Cassera and get yourself a Krueg Show t-shirt and support the show. And special thanks to our sponsor, New York Style Italian Sausage. That's right, NewYorkStyleSausage.com is their website. Phenomenal product, whether it's the breakfast sausage, the Italian mild, the Italian spicy, the chorizo. You cannot go wrong with New York Style Italian Sausage. Once again, NewYorkStyleSausage.com. Often imitated, never equaled.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means no matter how busy you were, no matter where the hell you were, you came to dinner on a Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday dinner without sausage, it's like a church without God. You know, how can you go to church if you don't believe in God? You know, and along with the sausage also became the discussions. That was discussion night. You know, it wasn't a typical family that you sit there and you're quiet, you know, and you don't talk with a mouthful. Oh, no, man. Italians talk when they're eating. Italians even talk when they're sleeping. And definitely we talk with our hands. So if we can't express it through our mouth, through our lips, we express it with our hands. So, and that's what sausage is, really. It's an expression, you know, that life is good.
So New York Style Sausage was started over 7 years ago. We are the largest producer of fresh Italian sausage on the West Coast.
What makes our sausage in New York style is really the recipe came from back east, from New York, you know, from Connecticut.
If you look at all of our labels, there's maximum 4 or 5 ingredients, which we're really proud of.
There's no preservatives, no MSG, fresh in, fresh out.
The pork comes in fresh, goes out fresh. There's never any freezing throughout the process. We've always used fine quality cuts. We're never gonna deter from that. It's one of the reasons why our sausage is so good. I guarantee you put our sausage up against anybody else's from a flavor standpoint, no one will beat it, hands down.
Hey, do yourself a favor and do me a favor. Go buy a package of the New York style Italian sausage. Guaranteed you will love it. Guaranteed.
Hey, Pasquale. Dan Coach Emilio here for the Krueg Show. Just picked up for the very first time some of your New York style Italian sausage here at Sam's Club in Arizona. My wife just cooked it, and I'm about to take a bite. Man, this is good. Pasquale, when you winked and said you guaranteed we'd love it, you're right. This stuff is absolutely amazing. Best sausage I've ever tasted. Thank you, Pasquale.
Good show tonight. Thanks to everybody. By the way, couple things I want to do here at the end of the show. One, we all got Christmas presents for the holiday. So happy Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody. Merry, or I guess, what? Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa. But look at my favorite gift of the season.
Is that a Niner flag? Wow.
UK.
Oh,
UK Niner flag.
Oh, yeah. That is the UK. Look at that. That's cool looking.
Pretty sweet. And then also I got this little doozy, another flag that was sent my way. Rye, who's this from, Rye?
Yeah, same guy. What is it? Supporters Club? It's kind of cool though. It's like almost like a Premier League logo or something.
Oh, look at that. The star right there. It's
from our guy Lee Gallen.
Yeah. So thank you to those guys. I'll be hanging that later on here in the studio. One for, as I told you, I've been rolling in the college football season most of the year. I've been rolling. Tomorrow, let me give you a free pick. I had East Carolina tonight against Coastal Carolina. East Carolina was giving 7, and East Carolina gets the big win. 53-29 was the final. They smashed Coastal Carolina in the Ticket Smarter Birmingham Bowl. All right. That was yesterday. Tomorrow, I have another little tip for you on the betting front. It's 6-6 Kansas against 6-6 Arkansas in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Playing that one in Memphis, Tennessee. Arkansas is a 2.5-point favorite. Go with the Razorbacks tomorrow. Go with the SEC Razorbacks over the Big 12 Kansas Jayhawks. They're both 6-6 football teams. Arkansas has got a big-time running back. Arkansas has got better team. I think Arkansas is going to win that game by quite a bit. And 2.5 is just an easy spread to cover. So if you're looking to make a little money tomorrow in bowl season, you heard it here first. Krug says go with Arkansas over Kansas tomorrow in the bowl game. All right. As far as tonight, we got into a little Warriors. If you're just tuning in, the Warriors beat the Hornets. Jonathan Kuminga got hot down the stretch. 110-105. Golden State 17-18 on the year, or 17. Is it 17-16? 14-2 at home. So Golden State gets a win. Also, we talked a little 49er football. We are back in Santa Clara tomorrow, right? Probably what? Is it a morning deal? Is it a midday deal?
I think it's 11:36, something like weird like that.
Okay. So
11:40, I think, is open locker room.
And are we doing the great Will Gavin tomorrow?
No,
London?
Unfortunately, it seems like it may be a Friday thing with Will.
He wants to do Friday. Okay.
But he said it's a crazy week for him.
Okay, so we will be there tomorrow down in Santa Clara getting Niners stuff in advance of the Raider game, and we'll continue talking Brock Purdy on the stream. As far as the Giants are concerned, I'm still waiting on more Giants moves. And anytime there's anything big breaking on the Giants, of course, we'll tweet about it.
I think actually we're going to stay live because we did break the Correa news. So we're just going to stay on live stream. We'll just take shifts. We're going to do shift work.
Around the clock?
Yeah, I'll do the one. Well, in the morning here.
Wait, I want to go back now and listen to us reacting to the Correa news.
Do you have that?
Oh, I can. Yeah, I can grab that.
Hey, and I got something fun here that we can close the show out. Audience can even count as they listen, and then we'll see who's been to the most places out of 100 cities across the world. I'm going to say it's going to be Larry, but I'm going to.
Well, I have been to a lot of places, but around the world, no.
Yeah,
around the country.
This is the world. So I'm going to start. I'll just name them off, and then you count in your head how many you've been to, and then we'll add them up and see. And the audience wants to say how many they've been. I'd be curious. Do we have? Maybe we can give a Krueg Krueg shirt to the person who's been to the most. How's that? Can we do that?
Possibly. Or we can do this right now.
Yeah, we got 165 people in here. It's 12:15. We'll run through this. Take about 5 minutes. How are we going to
prove who's been to the most? Isn't everybody?
Well, they'll have to be honest.
This is one of those Danny hasn't thought it through very well.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see what we can come up with. We'll come up with something. All right, here we go. I'm going to read them off, and you don't have to say them each out loud. We'll just, All right. 1, London. 2, Paris. New York. Moscow. Dubai. Tokyo. Singapore. Los Angeles. Barcelona. Madrid. Rome. Gotta get Doha. Chicago.
That's Qatar.
Abu Dhabi, San Francisco, Amsterdam, St. Petersburg, Toronto, Sydney, Berlin, Las Vegas, Washington. I'm assuming
Washington, D.C.
I'm sure it's D.C. It doesn't say, but I'm sure it's D.C. Istanbul, Vienna, Beijing, Prague, Milan, San Diego, Hong Kong, Melbourne, Boston, Houston, Dublin, Miami, Zurich, Seattle, Budapest, Sao Paulo? Is that
Sao Paulo?
Sao Paulo, Munich, Bangkok, Orlando,
Bang
Seoul.
what? Would you say bang what?
Bangkok.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Orlando, Seoul.
Bang what? Oh, sorry. Go
ahead. Seoul, Korea. That would be Korea.
Yeah.
Atlanta, Dallas, Frankfurt, Vancouver, Austin, Montreal, Calgary, Delhi, Lisbon, Naples, Osaka, San Jose. Are they assuming San Jose, California, or San Jose,
probably Mexico?
Mexico. Yeah, okay. Riyadh, Denver, Philadelphia, Tel Aviv, Copenhagen, Brussels, Brisbane, Valencia, Buenos Aires, Taipei, Rio de Janeiro, Portland, Hamburg, Kuwait City, Warsaw, Athens, Perth, Helsinki, Minneapolis, Oslo, Shanghai, Phoenix, Auckland, New Orleans, Jerusalem, Muscat. Where's that? Haven't heard that one. Muscat?
I don't know. Can't tell you. Can't help you.
Okay. Nashville, Stockholm, Santiago, Ottawa, Baltimore. The last 15, we're on number 86.
I think I might have Stockholm syndrome.
Edmonton, Lyon. Never heard of that either.
Leon.
Lyon. Lyon.
Leon.
Okay. All right. Marseille. 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 Okay.
Marseille.
I'm not. Yeah. Adelaide. Göteborg.
Goat board? Gosh, we're getting into some weird ones here. Bill. Who's been to Bill Bio?
How many more?
Eight. Mexico City, Salt Lake City, Mumbai, Sacramento. You know, Larry's been there. San Antonio, Tucson, Seville, Charlotte, Nanjing. All right, there's 100. So
29. I've been to 29.
29. I think I got you beat. I got to recount them because I wasn't actually counting them. Otherwise, I would have taken 5 more minutes. I got.
All right, let me count them now, and Dan, you go.
I'm going to count them real quick here because I was doing it earlier and I was at 31. So let me see.
In the meantime, I think I found it.
Mercedes, BMW, Porsche. Dan has never traveled anywhere based on his pronunciations.
Yes, few of those I've never heard of, actually. Let's see.
Oh, my God. Wait. Carlos Correa just signed with the Giants.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, ding, ding, ding. Let me see this. Let me see this.
13 years.
Where is that? Where'd you get it?
Jeff Passan.
Yes, breaking. Carlos for 47 seconds. Brian breaks the news.
Is that the same? Is that the right Jeff Passan?
I'm going to look and if he has 1 million followers. Yep, 1 million followers.
Does it mention that he's short and stands on a box?
Wow.
No, I'm just joking. That was a mean shot. All right, Jeff
Pellich
is 30.
That's a lot.
13,350.
That's a lot of years.
I told you it was going to go 350, but they got the AAV down.
How old is he? Like 28?
He's 28, 40. Yeah.
I mean,
well,
I'm stoked.
The Giants needed that so bad.
Now you go get your outfielder.
Now you trade Luciano.
Finally got his biggest deal. Everybody's retweeting. Larry, Dan.
I just tweeted cha-ching. Cha freaking ching. Well, now we know what we're talking about, and I would imagine the chat's going to get a little busier here in the next couple minutes. And we had yet to talk Giants.
I know shit. Should
Jesus,
we
what stage of grief are we on?
We're going to Giants now. Executive decision made, right, Larry?
I don't know. Do we need it? We're on. Do we really need to change anything?
Well, I mean, like the people that know us know that, but like people that will see this are just going to see like Warriors Bucks post game. Like,
what do you want to create a new? You want to tell everybody we're going to come back in with a new thing? Giants sign
Romo 2001. Giants cannot use money as an excuse. Everyone knows they are loaded. Not to mention what glass half full guy said about how front office is hyped about free agency. Well, so much for that, Romo.
Why don't we do this?
Why don't we disappointed in Farhan's comments? I'm not a Farhan hater, but he might need to go. Love the show. The recovery 716. I'm just trying to pay these off.
Right, you create a new
people
one?
have donated. Should we all jump into another stream, right?
Let's do that because it'll pull more people with Correa. Put breaking news: Giants sign Carlos Correa live right now. Join the Krueg show.
I can just put that. I can just tweet that.
And then let's everybody in the chat.
When you replayed it, I thought you did it again.
And then sign back in. There's 169 of you. I want to see 500. We'll just come right back on once we create this. So be looking at your phone, your laptop, whatever you're looking.
Let's end this. That's depressing me. It's depressing me watching that.
By the way,
guys, we didn't even talk about this. We didn't even talk about this today. How about this? Luka tonight. Did you see his stat line?
No, what did he do? I didn't.
60 points, 21 rebounds, 10 assists. Dallas beats the Knicks 126-121 in Dallas. 60, 21, and 10.
Wow. You know, it was a legit one too, because I'm not going to pretend like I was watching the game, but I was in live betting in my app. And I was like, oh, what else is going on? What else could I get in on? And then I saw like, oh, damn, Mavs are down like 13 with 6 minutes left in the fourth or something. Like, oh, this is over. Actually, I think it might have been like 4 minutes left in the fourth. And then all of a sudden I checked back and it was like, oh my God, Mavs are down 1. And then I was like, oh, well, it's still over. The Knicks are just going to hit 2 free throws and ice it. Then Luka came down, got fouled, down 3, made his first free throw, then did the intentional miss, and it actually worked out, and he rebounded it and got it up really quickly, and it went in, and it went to overtime.
How much time was left when he did it? How
1
much time?
second.
1 second. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And he was fouled on. Was he fouled on a just a regular?
I don't know. Honestly, it might have just been like strategy, like, oh, we're up 3, let's foul him, and then we can save it.
My kid goes, Dad, Luka had just the most unbelievable NBA fantasy night of all time. He like scored like some ridiculous number of points for fantasy, like 120 or something like that.
Wow. That's something.
I tweeted out that like he plays, like, you guys are, a little old for this probably, but just like the new 2Ks.
Watch it.
No, well, the newest 2Ks, like, it's all about the my player. And it's like you build a my player. And like for me, usually I start with trying not to go super overpowered and doing the same build everyone else does. So I'll do like a kind of my size, maybe not the fastest, but then try and just max out his stats on everything. And it's like when I play with my player, it's exactly like Luka. Like you have the ball the entire time. Yes, you want to win, but you want to win it with you freaking putting up insane stats, and it's awesome. And then like also, but you got to keep your teammate grades somewhat high. So to do that, you just kind of pound the ball and then just shoot it out to shooters like at the end of the shot clock and force them to give you assists so your teammate grade goes up. I kind of feel like there's a little bit of that with Luka, but my God, that guy is insane.
Hey, Vicky Pellich donated $1.99. She had 30 of those places she'd been to.
Wow.
I had 33 actually. I was
33.
at 33. Yeah.
There was a lot of domestic places. I thought you were going to go mostly international. There's a lot of domestic.
I hit a lot of domestic because I've been to a lot of places in Asia.
You've been to Riyadh? You've been to Qatar?
No.
No?
Nope.
Anonymous from the cities that Dan pronounced correctly, and I actually understood what he was saying. All but Qatar and Riyadh.
I got those right.
Wow. Really anonymous. So is he saying that he went to all of them
everywhere?
Wow.
Wait,
that's
from
really
the cities
impressive.
that Dan pronounced correctly, and I actually understood what he was saying. All but Qatar and Riyadh. He's been to all but Qatar and Riyadh.
He's been to Gothenburg in
He's
Sweden.
been to 98.
Wow.
Maybe this is Farhan.
He is extremely cultured.
All right, guys, good stuff tonight.
98.
Hey, tomorrow we're in Santa Clara, so we'll be down in Santa Clara tomorrow getting new Niners sound. And when do the Warriors go again? Let's check the Warriors schedule here.
Isn't it nice that the Warriors are kind of entertaining right now?
I think the Warriors, this is where they turn the season around because
well, yeah, Dan, what was this you were saying about 5 out of 6? That seems kind of insane for no Curry.
Is it possible Warriors go back to back? They go tomorrow?
Have you seen their schedule?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Have you seen their schedule they got this homestand? I mean, they should win them all, personally, I think.
Well, how about this? What do you think the spread is tomorrow against the Jazz?
Oh, I'm going to say 3.5.
Warriors by 3.5, Danny?
Yeah, I said 4 right there. 3.
It's Utah by 3.
No way.
Because
Utah's
you know what that
a
is?
3-point favorite at Chase.
Clay's not playing.
That means like probably Clay and Draymond aren't playing, and then they're factoring in that this was like kind of a wire-to-wire game in the end, maybe.
Wiggins they said was sick tonight, so maybe he is coming back. Maybe they're going to
No,
hold
he's
him
not
out.
coming tomorrow. He'll play probably Friday night if he's feeling better.
Well, Dan, if you think they're going to win 5 out of 6, you should definitely smash that money line tomorrow.
Yeah, seriously.
I think I might too.
I mean, have you seen their schedule with this homestand, right? It's like so favorable. It's unbelievable. They've got
be a real shame if they botched it.
They got the
I'll tell you it was an easy
night.
cover tonight, by the way. Sacramento was a 2.5-point favorite at home against the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah.
They won.
And Sacramento played without Domantas Sabonis.
Didn't they
lost.
win?
And apparently without Mike Brown, according to my Kings fan friend.
Oh, really? Well, Denver won by 7, and Sac was favored by 2.5 with no Sabonis. That was easy money.
That's interesting. What's wrong with Sabonis? Is he out for a while, or
he's got a avulsion fracture in his thumb?
How long is that for? 5 weeks?
Well, no, believe it or not, they said he's day to day. So I don't know what the deal is with that.
Really?
By the way, for everyone out there that is kind of a degen, watch for, they're probably tomorrow morning they'll have up the player props for Thursday Night Football, and a lot of people are saying, if you look at the line, it's 9.5 Dallas. Some places I've seen 10.5, and it's because apparently this game is meaningless for the Titans, that all that matters is their following week against the Jaguars. So people are saying like Derrick Henry, like,
is
watch
it Malik
out.
Willis, dude?
It's going to be Malik Willis and probably not much Henry. Probably if you can see like Henry rushing yards, like even at like 60, you probably want to go under.
Have you looked at the futures for next year's baseball, the over-unders?
No. Are they even out? No, I thought they don't come out until later. I thought they usually come out in January. No?
I thought you said the Giants were 76 or something.
Well, that was just an ESPN thing that I saw projected. If you're talking about like the actual Vegas over-unders, I don't think they come out until January, but that was just a projection. Somebody was projecting that.
Maybe they have them out at some books, but it's probably like limited limits.
Yeah, because I want to jump on some of those. Those are going to be
Jesus Christ. Jalen Hurts is now 11-1.
What?
To win the MVP. He's behind Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. Honestly, that's worth a flyer, because if they end up losing out with Minshew, they could give it to Hurts.
I'll tell you the guy who deserves it. Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson deserves it. Now, it hasn't gone to a wide receiver. I don't know if it's ever gone to a wide receiver.
I'll tell you,
Justin
he's not going to get
really
it, but he's in deserving of talking is Nick Bosa too. I mean, gosh, he changes the entire game.
MVP? I mean, defensive player for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, if you listen to the players, they call him the MVP too. Kittle
He's the Niners MVP on defense. Yeah. But if you look at the numbers for Jefferson, I mean, okay, Saturday he catches 12 passes, 133 yards, and a touchdown. And they were chanting MVP. Now, Mahomes is the favorite. Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, they're all in front of Jefferson. But, man, a quarterback has won the MVP every year since 2012. Adrian Peterson won the award in 2012. But if it's really the best player, I mean, it should go to Jefferson. He leads the NFL in receptions with 123. Receiving yards with 1,756. He's got a real shot to not only set the league's record for receiving yards in a season, but also to become the first 2,000-yard receiver in the history of the NFL. He's got 2 games left. He just needs 244 yards, and he would just need to average 122 in those 2 contests. He's already topped 122 in 4 of his past 5 games, including the past 3. His season average for Jefferson is 117 yards receiving per game. He's accounted for more than 43% of the Vikings' total receiving yards. The Vikes are 12-3. They've already clinched the division. They got an outside shot at the number 1 seed in a bye. 11 of those 12 wins have come by a single possession, and their point differential is only +5 on the year. But the line between winning and losing has been so thin. Jefferson has played such a huge part in all these game-changing moments, and his stats are almost unparalleled. I mean, I know receivers don't get this award, guys, but man, Justin Jefferson has had himself an incredible year. That would be something.
And the clutch catches, like he had so many clutch catches. I think the thing that's going to hurt him for that is, like, I remember having this conversation a little bit halfway through the year with Tyreek Hill, when he was having it on that insane pace and the Dolphins were 8-3. I think the thing that hurts Jefferson in the MVP is just that Tyreek is like also having an all-time season. Obviously not what Jefferson's doing, but also like has an outside shot at 2,000 yards and like is just kind of also carrying their offense. But no, I agree. I think Jefferson's all but locked up offensive player of the year. Yeah. I've got some other interesting ones here that involve Niners. Obviously Bosa's now -1,000 for defensive player of the year.
I
think he's going to win that, right? I mean,
that's a lock.
17.5 sacks.
And then comeback player of the year, I still think there's value on McCaffrey. Saquon's +175, Geno's +175, and McCaffrey's
Geno's
+250.
been sinking.
I know. McCaffrey's plus 250. I mean,
Who'd
come
you say
on.
the top of that?
Saquon. That's
Saquon.
all like East Coast media. And then now, how about this? Shanahan, after being 14-1 3 weeks ago, has now climbed up to the second spot in Coach of the Year behind Sirianni.
Well, third string quarterback. He's going to be the coach of. I'll say this: the biggest winner of this season, if the Niners win the Super Bowl, is obviously going to be Brock Purdy, right? Mr. Irrelevant, only rookie quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl. But Shanahan is going to enjoy something that nobody can envision. Kyle Shanahan's name is going to be brought up, fairly or unfairly, every time the discussion of who's the greatest coach of all time. Because you know the way these discussions go. I'd go with Lombardi. I'd go with Walsh. I'd go with Shula. I'd go with Tomlin. I'd go with Belichick. Well, how do you not go with Kyle Shanahan? He's the only guy who ever won a Super Bowl with a third-string quarterback.
Yeah, there's going to be that guy that throws that out for sure.
That's going to be a line that's thrown. Kyle, I think, has injected himself forever into this discussion if they get it done this year.
I think there's going to be, like, if you want to create
the
a
irony
hyperbolic,
of that, pretty incredible.
I know. If you want to create a hyperbolic take that could like be debated on like First Take, would be like, now that Belichick's kind of fading, like has the torch been, and like Reed is getting up there, like has the torch been passed to is Shanahan like the new, genius top coach every time you mentioned it? Because people will always say Andy Reid, yes, but he has Mahomes.
Well, Andy Reid, until he won the Super Bowl over the Niners, it was like Andy Reid's a great
very
coach. Can't win the big
Shanahan-y.
one. He can't win the big one.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Shanahan's in that mode now where it's like, he's 500, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
But
and so there's one more shocking one that is it blows my mind. Is Brock Purdy has climbed up to the third spot in Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Who's now ahead? Who's Walker?
Kenneth Walker.
Garrett Wilson is minus 200.
He's been hot.
Kenneth Walker is plus 500, and Brock Purdy is plus 650.
Yeah, I like Purdy there. What about
I kind of like him too.
Executive of the Year.
Oh, I don't know if you can bet that.
I mean, that's
but he should.
Yeah. Oh my God, Lynch.
Yeah. Lynch.
By the way,
pull
Mike
that thing.
Lynch's Ghost, which is kind of a tasteless name, by the way, says the 49ers are not winning the Super Bowl. Laughing my ass off. Really? You're there's a lot of proclamations I would make right now. I'm not sure if I would make that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Rye, pull that thing we did when we picked the 8 teams. See how we're doing. Remember that? You wrote it down. Do you have it somewhere?
Yeah.
I was just curious where we're at. I can't even remember the teams I had.
Yeah.
I know I had the 49ers. I think I had Tampa and Green Bay, and I was like, oh.
I had Kansas City and Buffalo. And
I definitely don't. I don't have them updated, but I definitely have them.
You have Buffalo, and you didn't have the Niners, did you? I think I had the Niners.
Did you? The Niners.
I had Kansas City and Buffalo for sure.
Let me write these down and add them up. I can add them up in my head real quick. So just rattle off. Let me look at the standings here.
Okay. I've got them.
Okay, so let me pull the standings up here. NFL stand. Okay, got them. Okay, so who are we starting with first?
Okay, let's start with you, Dan.
All right. So who do I have? What
you went? Okay, but the Bucks.
Okay, so they're set. What's their record? 6-9. Okay, 7-8. Okay, I got 7.
Okay, Packers.
Okay, I got another 7, 14.
49ers.
I got 11, so I'm at 25.
Oh my God, Dan is running away with this. Eagles.
Oh, what is their? They got 13.
7. Or yeah. Sorry.
25, 13. So I'm at 38.
Bengals.
But we also there was big points for playoff wins.
And there's big points for playoff wins.
Bengals got 11, so I'm at 49.
Saints
have 6, so I'm at 55.
Raiders.
What the heck's the Raiders? 6, so I'm at 61.
And Steelers
are 61 and
again,
7.
just
68.
crawling into a 500 season.
I'm at 68.
Okay, you're
Mike
at
Leach's
68.
ghost says Brock
68.
Purdy is not a good quarterback. The amount of hype this guy is getting is outrageous.
Get
will
him
be
off.
the reason for your playoff exit, I assure you.
Mike, I might just ban you just for stupidity.
I mean, he's not a good quarterback. And who's really hyping him?
This
other than
guy's
me?
just a hater, whoever he is. I mean, look at the name, Mike Leach's ghost, and he puts a
That
picture.
is tasteless.
I don't like that's tasteless. That's classless. Come on, the guy.
By the
man
way,
just
I
passed away last couple weeks ago.
In honor of Mike Leach, I almost never read, but I did read that book, The Perfect Pass. I don't know if you ever read that, but it's just like this whole story of how offensive football evolved, and it's all centered around Mike Leach and who was the guy he learned under? It was some like old football-y name. Mike Leach.
Hal Mummy.
So go ahead.
Hal Mummy.
Run your numbers, right? I'll count them up.
Okay. Here's Larry.
Larry.
Bills.
Okay, so 12.
Chiefs.
24. He's got 12. 24.
Colts.
4. So
Didn't
28.
work out well with the Colts.
28.
Pats.
Pats have 7, so you're at 35.
Browns.
Browns have 6, so you're at 41.
Titans.
Titans have
6 wins.
7. 41, 48. You're at 48.
Cardinals.
Cardinals have what, 4? 52.
And then a great last pick of the Seahawks.
Have 7, right? So you're at 59.
I don't like the thing is I don't think I have a Super Bowl winner within mine, which just screws me. My first pick was horrible. Rams.
Okay.
That was your first pick, Rams?
Yeah, I went 3
5.
and I went
So
double LA.
So you got 5.
Chargers.
Chargers have what, 8 or 9? 9. So you're at 14.
Okay, Ravens.
Ravens 14 and 10. So there's 24.
Broncos.
Jeez. What did you say? You're at 24, and the Broncos have 4, so you're at 28.
So, but I had a strong Final Four. Cowboys.
Cowboys have what? 11, so you're at 28, 39.
Vikings.
Ooh, that's a good one. What did I say? You were at 39,
Yeah.
and the Vikings have 12, so you're at 51.
Dolphins.
Ooh, Dolphins are at, man, they hurt you the last few weeks.
I know they went from 8-3 to like 8-7.
51 and 8, so you're at 59.
And then commies.
Oh, not bad. Don't they have 7? Let's see, 59 and commies have 7, so you're at 66. You're right behind me. I'm at 68, 66, and our host is taking up the rear.
But
Yeah,
here's
but
the
I've got
thing.
the Super Bowl teams.
Yeah. Here's the thing: these are the rules. Here's the other
I
thing.
do. I got the Bengals
Wait.
and the Niners. And
Here's the other
Eagles.
thing. Here's the other thing is that we all drop our bottom 2.
Who's my bottom 2? Pittsburgh and New Orleans, or what did I have?
No,
then
well,
there's
like
playoffs.
whoever your worst 2 are you get to drop.
Who are my worst 2 right now? New Orleans and I got
Maybe the Raiders.
I'll drop them.
Saints
Don't have the
maybe.
Saints only won 6, I think.
And then Larry gets to drop the Colts and maybe the Browns, or no, Colts and Cardinals.
I can win this thing if it's the Niners and the Bengals.
And then I drop my number 1 pick Rams, and then my number 4 pick Broncos. And then this is how it's going to work is, so each one of those wins counts as 1 point, but if you get advancing to the divisional round is 3 points, advancing to the conference championship is 4 points, advancing to the Super Bowl is 5 points, and winning the Super Bowl is 6 points. So, I mean, that's whoever wins the Super Bowls. Like, if you have the Super Bowl team, unless you had just like everybody else, you're.
I mean, I get the best shot on this because the two favorites are.
Yeah,
you got Kansas City. Well, I got the 2 favorites in the NFC. I got the Eagles and the Niners.
And I have all the poopy wild card, or like poopy like outside chance, like the Ravens or the Dolphins or the Vikings
Well, you
or
got
the
Dallas
Chargers
and
or
Dallas
the
and
Cowboys.
Minnesota, yeah.
I have listen to this middle class. So this is all of my except it's Chargers, Ravens, Cowboys, Vikings, Dolphins.
Oh, yeah, you're like
that's
that
just
next
like
level below. So Larry's got the Chiefs and the Bills. But see, I think the Bengals are going to get the 2 seed because they play the Bills coming up this week. I think, is it this week or next week?
It is this week
in Cincinnati.
I know. I love the Bengals.
And so
last comment of the night. I am the Bay. What's the deal with Correa, Larry?
Where's
Paul
this?
say.
What's the deal with Correa?
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get